EAGLES. Eagles.
There we are. Happy Friday Eve. Yes, the gun in the house. Rob Ellis hanging out with you on this Thursday, August 3rd. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. What's up, Tyler, Chris D, M. Reyes, Mr. Taz? How you guys doing? Gunner, how are you, my friend?
What's up, my light skin brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I get to hang with you for 3 hours.
Likewise, man. You know what?
I say more. Yes.
It ain't working when you enjoy your surroundings, you know,
and your company.
Your company. Yes. No question about it.
Yes. Good to be hanging with. By the way, I didn't get a chance to say it yesterday. Congratulations to your son. Right?
Yeah.
We got a little news, D-Gun?
Yeah. So him and his girlfriend, they went to Disney over the weekend. And, you know, she's like my wife. She organizes everything, because if it was left up to me, it'd be like the Keystone Cops running around. Yep. So they did 4 parks in 2 days. But when we went a year ago, we did 3, and that was, you know, it takes you, a day to do.
Yeah, but it's just those 2, right? You got the kids, and you're trying to.
Yeah. You know, you got food, you got bathroom, you know, and then Monday before they left, they went to SeaWorld. You know, I've never been to the SeaWorld there. I've been to the one in California many times, but he organized a proposal to his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Now this is a guy we never thought would get married. Never thought. You know, when my daughter's kids are around and they got to change diapers, he's like,
"See ya."
He's doing this, right?
That's the beauty of being an uncle. You could just hand off, right? Yeah.
And he'd always said he never wanted kids, you know. And all of a sudden, over the past few months, you know, I told him, I said, you need to come downstairs more, because he's either always working or he's in the intense portion of his degree work. He's by the winter of 2024, he should be online to get his degree in cybersecurity. You know, finish his degree work for cybersecurity.
Yep.
So he orchestrated all of this, hired a photographer, and he got down on one knee and proposed to his girlfriend at Disney.
Yes. And
I'm like, do we have room at the table for one more?
in the gun compound, can we fit one more? Yes. That's great, man. That's very exciting.
Yeah. She's a real sweet girl, very quiet, you know.
Yeah.
And in this house, if you come in this house, you have to talk over each other. She's gonna have to learn how to talk over each other to get her point in, you know.
Yeah.
But once it was announced, the funny part about it is, when it was officially announced, my son kept texting us, "Hey, she wants to know, can she now join the family chat?" We're like, "Wait a minute, no." So my wife and I said initially, No. It's got to be official before you can join the family chat. Text chat. So my wife and I kept saying, no. And then my middle daughter, Tina, all of a sudden goes, "Welcome to the family chat, Marissa." She was so excited to be a part of the family chat. And I'm like, does she not understand the craziness we talk about in the family chat?
Oh, boy. Well, listen, better now to find out what's going on, right?
Exactly. And like my wife said, well, son, we don't want to run her off and scare her, you know? So.
We'll take it easy on her at first, right? Yes. I like it, man. That's awesome. But congratulations. That beautiful, man.
Thank you, my brother. So now he's talking about having kids. I'm like, what?
See, yeah, it's funny. Things change, you know. It's your perspective as you get a little bit older. Things change. I like it. Yeah, more grandkids for you to be chasing around. I like it.
I want to see him change that first diaper. That's what
that's going to be. You got to somehow like sneak like a camera.
Without a doubt. If not me, my girls. One of my girls will get it for sure. Oh my goodness.
All right, the Eagles back at it today, Gunner. This is practice number 5. Practice number 5 for the Eagles today. Nick Sirianni met with the media beforehand. We're going to dig deeper into some of the things that he had to say. He was, in a word, very complimentary, as if we haven't heard, a million compliments already about Jalen Hurts, but he took it even to a different level, talking about Hurts. Interesting stuff on DeAndre Swift and what we've seen from him so far. Maybe this is all just a smokescreen, but they have been going overboard on Trey Sermon since like the owners' meetings about how much they love this guy. I'm just trying to figure out, like, are you carrying 5 running backs?
They're not carrying 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame for him because I think he's just in a numbers crunch, Derek.
I do too, and I think he will be a practice squad safety blanket, security blanket, especially when you talk about the injury history of the two they brought in this offseason.
Right.
He didn't get much. He didn't get anything last year, and the pecking order has changed. You have two holdovers and you have two prominent names that are coming in. Yeah. I don't see where he fits in, the only way, and for me, it's hard pressed, is if he bumps Boston Scott.
Right.
You're not moving Gainwell out of his role. You're sure not moving the other two out of their roles. No. However, their roles are defined. I don't see how he can bump Boston Scott. Boston Scott's been very productive in a very limited role for this organization.
And they like him a lot. He's not. This would have to be, I hate to say it, injury driven, for him to get an opportunity here. And you know how it works with the practice squad. Anybody could grab him up too. If he does have such a good camp and good, preseason, odds are somebody needs a running back or like a third or fourth guy that he may be elsewhere,
Yeah, I don't understand how he fits in. Unless he can play another position we're not aware of. He's not big enough to play. Let's see, he's not big enough to play linebacker.
I like Christie's theory here, Derek. They're talking him up to trade him along with Sippos and Barnett in a package and include Michael Clay too.
Well, see, you might get a couple of you might get a uniform, a helmet. You're not getting much for that package at all. So
no, I hear you. I think actually Michael Clay speaks tomorrow, so that'll be interesting.
Look on your face when you mention Michael Clay. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what he got to say.
Yeah, so they're in pads again today. They're back at it. Well, I think it's over by now. They started at 10, so I would doubt they're still going.
Heck no.
Yeah. So we'll dig into everything that he had to say and everything that went down at practice day, because the players, then what happens is after practice, then you have the media availabilities, then you kind of go from there. So anything of interest, we will pass that along. That's for sure. Can I do a little Phillies, please? I know they play this afternoon.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
Derek.
And by the way, they're playing at noon today, and one other thing real quick, everybody in the chat, it's that time of the week. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always fascinating because every time we do this, we always get another city, another country we haven't seen before.
That's true.
So everybody just update us. It's time to check in with us. Let us know where you're calling in from. All right.
Yeah, even if you have before, do it again. Check in. Yeah,
just want to know.
Okay. And what's up, Chuck? What's up, Jim G? What's up, Dank? What
up?
A couple. Anybody I missed? I'm sorry.
Dynasty South Jersey.
Dynasty 215.
Right across the Delaware Memorial Bridge from you. I got you.
Yeah. All right. So what's up, Mario? All right. Derek, they've had far too many of these games they should have won. And Christy checking in from. Let's start the check-ins here. Let's go.
Monterey. I love Monterey. Monterey is a beautiful area.
Christie's in Portugal, as we know. Soya's in San Diego.
Russia.
Mario, South Jersey.
Niners all day. He told me checking in from Russia. Come on now. We know you're in the Bay Area somewhere.
How about Mr. Taz? Business trip to
Sicily.
Okay. Very nice.
Oh, we got somebody who's rolling in money taking trips like that, business trips like that to Sicily.
Good for him, man. I love that. All right.
New York. I see you.
Yep. There you go. Garden City, South Carolina, outside of Myrtle. Good for you, Chuck.
I love Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
Tracy's in Tampa. Good for you, Tracy.
What's up, Tracy?
Tyler?
How you doing?
Yep, we see you. All right. So another eminently winnable game last night. They were up 5-0. They took 2 leads in extra innings.
Yes.
And lost. All right. So start with this. Wheeler pitched well enough to get a win. He gave up the 2 runs, but he certainly pitched well enough. 6 innings, 2 runs.
Yeah, his numbers were good, but he gives up 2 home runs. It's always a but now.
Yeah.
Suarez, he gave up 10 hits, but only 1 run. It could have been worse. Luckily, it wasn't. Right. I mean, I tell you, Rob, the starting staff now starting to have the epidemic like the hitters. I don't get it, dude.
You know what happened, Derek? Here's my theory on that one. He was cruising, hadn't given up a run until the 6th. The Phillies had a long top of the 6th, a half hour. I think, and again, it sounds like I'm making excuses, but I'm just saying, I think it threw his rhythm off a little bit, and he gave up the back-to-back jacks, and then, he got out of it. The inning ended. But, okay, so I thought we had hit rock bottom when it comes to Trey Turner.
Here we go. Let me get ready. Here we go.
But we haven't, okay? By the way, he's hitting 8th today. So
He'll
if
be
they could hit him
hitting-
11th, I think they would.
Yeah, he'll be hitting 12th next week.
Yeah. What's driven me the most crazy about him this year, hands down, as bad as he's been at the plate, and he's been god awful. Like his OPS is in the bottom percentile of everybody with the amount of at bats that he's had.
Get this, his OPS right now, 132nd out of possible 141 to 142, and that's at least with 100 at bats.
Think about that. I mean, this guy's got a 30 some odd million contract for 10 years. So then there's two plays in the field.
Yep.
One was bad, but not totally egregious earlier. And then there's a play that all you have to do, even if you don't make it clean, is keep it in front of you. Because if you keep it in front of you, the guy doesn't score from third.
That's right.
Okay. What he does, and I've noticed this about him in the field, he doesn't move his feet and give the body up to get in front of the ball just to knock it down and take it off your chest or, whatever.
No.
He does the backhand move, the sort of be slick, get it, boom, throw move every single time. And it's bitten him. Like the thing is, if it happens once or twice, okay, you learn from it. He hasn't learned from it. And it tells me like he doesn't want to sacrifice his body, Gunner. And that play is critical. That's how they tied the game up last night.
Yes. If he makes that play, even if he knocks it down and keeps it in front of him, Phillies win that game.
Yes.
I've noticed also on that play that caused them another tie, took his eye off the ball.
Yep.
As an infielder, you take your eye off the ball a fraction of a second, especially the way the ball spins, the velocity in which it hits the dirt a certain way, it's going to hop funny. One of the basics you're taught as a kid, if you're playing infield, keep it in front of you. Mm-hmm. He's always sliding to the right, sliding to the left. I don't get this. He didn't do this before anywhere else. Why all of a sudden has it become an epidemic here?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, nobody's faulting him if he doesn't necessarily throw the guy out, but it would be at least you kept it in front of you and make the fundamental play. Like, you can't do enough. You can't put enough effort in to make a fundamental play. Look, I get it. He's lost. He is just lost in the sauce, man. Like he is checked out. We've all gone through funks, right?
Wait. You're saying he checked out in early August?
Well, I when I say check out, I don't mean check out in that he doesn't care. I mean checked out that he's so lost in his own head that he can't see straight. And I have empathy because look, we've all gone through tough periods, right? We've all been through where you're like, I'm never getting out of this thing, man. Like I'm spinning my wheels and no, it's not going anywhere. But I don't know that there's being max effort made on his part in the field. I don't. That's what ticks me off.
But why? Why do you?
Because of that play. Like that play is an example. Like you gotta. All right, I'm gonna get up. All right.
Here we go. You gonna stand up?
All right. So you got a ball and it's hit to it's hitting the hole between short and third.
Yep.
Your first instinct is to, if you can laterally move, okay, like this. Is what you do. And if you got to keep it in front of you, keep it in front of you. He turns, goes with the backhand, boots it. Like, that's the thing. That's like, to me, it's a fundamental issue with him. And I'm sure he's carried the field, the plate into the field with him. I'm sure that's part of the case here. But like, if you're the Phillies, you got to be scared to death because you don't have any choice but to play this guy. Like I hear people saying all the time, send him down and all this. You're not sending him down.
You're not sitting a $300 million athlete. You're not. You're just not. He's got to play his way out of this. When it comes to fielding, you're taught if you're going to the hole, always take the first step with the lead foot towards the hole you're going to. So a lot of infielders make the mistake of crossing over first. That's how you lose your balance.
Exactly right.
So on and so forth. You're always taught take that. And sometimes he crosses over. It's a basic rule of fielding. Did you see his interview after the game in the locker room?
Yeah.
Head down, shoulders sunken. Body language says a lot. And, we talk about how players, whether it's hitting or fielding, go through slumps at any given time. But this is like an epic slump. And I think it's in his head. I think everything is in his head now, from hitting to field. He's second in the majors in errors. Second in the majors.
Think about that. And the other thing is he got 2 breaks last night.
Yes. Because
of this nonsense scoring now in Major League Baseball, which is a total joke, by the way. Like, nobody gets an error anymore.
No. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. what used to be given as errors now, they're giving them as hits.
How is that ball? That's an error all day, every day. I know they want more offense in the game, and I know the hometown, that's home cooking too, taking care of their guy, giving him a hit on that. That's not a hit under any circumstance. Not it. So he'd probably have 3 or 4 more errors at least this season had they been scoring it properly.
You know what? Now that you say that, you're probably right. Yeah. See, and again, you got too many big hitters with too many strikeouts. They had 12 hits and 8 runs. They had 14 strikeouts as a team.
Awful. The approach stinks. Like, I see guys last night. I'll give you an example. And I know he's a kid. He just got up, and I like him a lot. So this is not a knock on him necessarily. But Rojas comes up, and the previous guy had walked. Okay. And the pitcher was struggling with his control. He swings at the first pitch.
Yes.
Take one, man.
Yes.
After you just walk the guy in front of you. It drives me crazy. That's basic baseball right there.
Your boy has 2 more. Adds 2 more Ks to his ledger. He's down to 181.
I know.
Harper 2 more Ks. He's at 291. Let's see. Marsh came in. He had a hit. He had a big hit.
Marsh had a huge home run.
Let's see who else is struggling here.
Bohm was great last night.
4 for 6, 3 ribbies. What else do you want from him?
Bohm's been phenomenal all year. Bohm and Stott. Those 2 guys. And Marsh has been pretty darn solid. All those guys, but it's not them. It's not them.
No,
it's the older guys. It's the established guys. That's who it is.
Here's the thing: Bohm and Stott had 7 of their 12 hits.
Yep.
Between those 2.
Yep.
7 of their 12 hits came from Bohm and Stott.
Those 2 deserve better, man. Bohm goes 4 for 6, and he makes a couple nice plays in the field. Like, come on, man.
Turner's now 0 for 5. He was 0 for 5 last night, hitting 237. Rob.
I know. It's like, for a while we were doing the comparison to Castellanos. Castellanos' year last year was way better than this. Way better than this.
Oh my God! I was just about to say this is worse than Castellanos.
It's way worse, Derek. Way worse. I'm telling you, it's worse. It's worse at the plate. And Castellanos made some. And by the way, he made 2 really good catches last night. Castellanos did.
Yes.
He's proven he's made himself into a solid outfielder. I give him that. And Turner's a disaster. He's a disaster.
Well, we talked about this last week. Your boy Kimbrel.
Oh,
he gave up 2 hits and 1 run. But did you see the long flyouts he gave up last night?
Yeah, he was fortunate. A couple of those didn't go over the yard.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was bad. Oh my God. That should have been a laugher. That should have been like an 8-0 laugher is what that game should have been. It really should have been.
When they went up, what was it, 7-5?
Yeah.
I thought it was over, honestly, because the Marlins are not that type of hitting team.
Right.
They're minus, when it comes to the run differential, they're minus. They have a winning record, yes, but all of a sudden they start hitting like they were one of the better hitting teams in the majors. I'm like,
you let them hang around, It's a classic sports thing. You let somebody hang around, they start feeling themselves a little bit, and then that's what happened.
This is a Marlins lineup that basically was not afraid of Kimbrel. Who else came out there? Soto.
Yep.
They weren't afraid of any of them.
No. Nope. Not
and
one bit.
I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
And then what? We keep talking about Washington. Washington just took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers.
Yeah, they're still fighting. Yeah.
Can we overlook anybody here?
No, no, you can't. You can't is the answer. It was really a tough one. All right. A couple other things. Montrezl Harrell has a torn ACL.
Oh.
Again, why? I'm not faulting the guy for getting hurt. Why was he signed?
Why was he resigned?
I don't know.
You know why he was resigned? Because he's cheap.
I guess. Yeah, I guess. But he can't play, so I don't care that he's cheap. But he's not going to play for them. I mean, yeah, whatever. All right. There is a football game tonight, my friend. We have the Hall of Fame game. Yes, we're here. We've reached that point.
Oh, wait. Go back to the baseball for just a moment. I wanted to ask you this.
Sure.
Would you bench Turner for a series? Not just a game, a series.
boy. I probably wouldn't go as far as a series. I think if you were going to do that, you'd have to go with a fake injury route. Like if you're sitting him for 3 or 4 games, you would have to almost justify it by some kind of fake injury. If not, it's got to be a game or 2 max. So no, I wouldn't.
I would bench him for a series, and I think considering how he's spiraled downward for the last month and a half or so, I think this fan base would applaud it. As critical as this fan base would be about a $300 million player, everybody was just electric about when they signed him. I think everybody would agree in unison right now, bench him for an extended period of time. I really do. I think this would be a one rare instance where Phillies fans would not be upset if you bench Trey Turner. Let one of these kids get in there and just play. They can't do any worse.
Well, I agree. I think the fans would be all for it. I do.
I agree.
I don't think the organization would do it. I can't see them doing anything more than a game max. Or I even, and they just did it on what day did they give them off?
You know what? The series they have coming up against who's it?
Royals.
Kansas City.
Yeah, the Royals are next.
I'd let him sit. You could put your whole second tier in there, and you should have far more superior talent than the Royals. And if you don't win 2 out of 3 of those, people are going to scream bloody murder.
Oh, it's going to be hell. There's going to be hell to pay. Yeah.
If they don't win 2 out of 3 from Kansas City, it's going. This team has played down. Let's face it. This team has played down to its competition in a lot of ways.
Yep.
I mean, if you really want to think about it, Kansas City is not that much worse than the Pirates. If you really think about it.
Oh, they're probably worse. Yeah. Look, this should be a sweep. This shouldn't even be 2 out of 3. You should sweep them. You
should sweep them, and it shouldn't even be close. There shouldn't even be any 1-run games. You should be able to smoke this team with that power you have by at least 3-run margins every game.
Yeah.
Yep. But are you willing to bet money on that?
No, because they consistently play down to the level of their competition. So I would not bet money on it.
I would sit Turner for the entire series, to be honest with you. Yeah. And you know what? If he's honest with himself, I bet you any money within he would welcome that, to be honest. To let him sit, think, watch, go over tape, watch game film, go in the cages, extended periods of time, work on your stance at the plate, work on your swing, whether it's uppercutting, constantly overswinging, whatever it is. Have the batting coach work with you endlessly. I would give him an entire series off.
Yeah, I think your sentiment would be well received by the Philadelphia fans. I don't think the organization would do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't sit him that long, but I hear you. I get it. I don't think it's crazy. All right. Hall of Fame game tonight.
Yes.
Hall of Fame game tonight. You got the Jets and the Browns. Don't expect to be seeing Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. But you and I, we were talking about you and I and Tone were talking about this before the show. I'll have it on. Am I locked in? I'm not locked in. Is it something I will take a? Here's one of the reasons I would watch will watch preseason games like this, Derek, is I because I'm a fan of college football. I'll see some guys that I watched play last year. Let me see what they're looking like on their new team. They'll get some opportunities, whereas the starters wouldn't. That's why, and I'll watch it just because I'm a football freak. You know what I mean? It's not like you and I are not going to have 4 segments of breakdown tomorrow on the Jets and the Browns. But I'll watch it.
I will closely watch the first half because those are the players that are, a few of them, especially young players, they're going to get some game reps. Players that are going to be backups are going to get some game reps. By the time the second half, you're going to need you're actually going to need to look at rosters and look at who's this, where's he from.
Right.
These are most of the guys that are battling just for their lives to even make the 53 or make a practice squad with somebody. But definitely, I'll pay close attention to the first half.
Yes, same here. So a couple other things I wanted to hit you with. The Eagles question of the day sort of relates to this, but it also relates to the fact that the Eagles have the one and only open practice on Sunday night at the Link. Question I have for you and for our chat, and anybody streaming, listens, you want to hop onto the chat too, please feel free. And you can email us as well. Would you pay to watch an Eagles practice? You know, and unfortunately, it's kind of come to this. We know back in the day at Lehigh and Westchester and all that, you could just go. But it's not the case anymore. So would you pay, Derek, if you were not, you were an accountant, Derek Gunn, the accountant, you love football, would you pay to go watch a practice?
Well, in this case, the money that you pay to go watch practice, the Eagles donate to various charities.
They do. Eagles Autism and some of the other charities.
Yeah, they're so good about distributing money to a lot of charities in the city and nationally. So because my wife and I, we give to so many different charities, especially different churches and things like that. Yes, I would pay the money knowing that it's going to a worthy cause. It's only what, $10 to get in, $15.
Yeah, and props to the Eagles. That money does go to. It's not going in their pocket. Yep.
Yeah. I would go, but see me, I would not be paying close attention to the practice. I would be talking to people, especially if it's people I know. I would be spending more time talking to people and letting the kids enjoy the ambiance of it more so. Now, of course, you pay the $10 to get in. Is the food concessions, man. $80, $90. You go with a family of 4, you're dropping a minimum of $80. And that's just for a beverage, a hot dog, some nachos. It's a minimum $80.
Yeah.
Minimum.
That's one of those. Guess what, kids? We're eating before we leave tonight. It's one of those deals.
You know what? You can say that all you want. When you get in the stadium, can I get this?
I smell the crab fries, Dad. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Souvenir.
Yeah.
Can you get a souvenir?
Yeah.
You're coming out of there $100 shorter at least than when you went in.
True.
But yes, I would. What about you? Would you pay?
I wouldn't. Not to see practice. I wouldn't.
No?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. To me, if that's the way it is now, that's the way it is. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. It's not worth it to me.
I would only pay just because of the cause behind it. That's why.
Yeah, I hear you. And if that's what it is, that's different. That's a different discussion, but I hear you. And look, $10 isn't the end of the world. I'm not saying that, but yeah, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. No.
You get a closer view. First of all, the stadium's not going to be full. So you're going to have easier access. And let's face it, once they settle in and start practicing, how many times do people start moving down closer and closer and closer? You might be able to move closer to the field. You know
what? Actually, let me take that back. Here's why. Here's the circumstance in which I would. If I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to any games live, whether it's preseason or regular season, it just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
Then I probably would. So I will change my mind as far as that goes. Because you're right, Derek. You make a good point. It's your one opportunity to get. We're lucky and spoiled in the sense that we've stood there on sidelines watching practice a lot, and you really understand how big and fast and strong these guys are.
Yeah.
You hear the pop. I know they don't hit as much now, but for a kid who's maybe never gotten that opportunity for them to see up close, like, whoa, look at Jordan Davis. Like that's a good experience. So actually I would, I'll take it back. I would. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's, if you're taking your family, it's like a family outing. The kids get a kick out of it that they get that close.
Yep.
To see some football.
Yep.
Obviously they're more enjoying the ambiance of the food and stuff like that. Now I don't think I would stay the whole time because it's going to be a hot, sweaty day.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the bowl of the stadium, the less shade you're going to have, unless you just happen to be. And plus, because they do it in the morning, there's no shade.
Oh, for us, yeah, no doubt, yeah.
Well, I mean, even if you're a fan, unless you just want to get in and sit way up there, but then that defeats the purpose of wanting to go there.
Well, this thing's at night, though. This is at night.
I would definitely do it.
Yeah, yep.
I would definitely, but it would be one time only. It's not like what do they have? Like 3 practices that are open now?
1.
Oh, there's just 1 because in the past it was 3.
It's 1 now. This is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would go. I mean. You're not going to see a whole lot in a short amount of time.
No, but you're going to see cool. You're just seeing those guys up close and personal is a cool experience, I think. If you haven't done it, if you haven't previously done it, I think it's a cool thing.
Okay.
Understand how big they are, I guess.
I would do it. I would do it. Yeah. Outside of that, no.
Okay. Understood. All right. Let's come back and let's dig a little bit deeper into some of the things that Nick Sirianni had to say before. We got some more people checking in. Rob Snyder, he's out in Vegas. Good for you, Rob. Appreciate it. I saw that.
Play a hand of blackjack for me, Rob.
There you go. I saw Debbie checking in from Lidditz, PA.
Lidditz is a nice area. I've been up there. They got a great smorgasbord up in that area too, man.
They do. Lidditz is nice. Mannheim's nice.
Mannheim, yep.
Very nice areas in the Lancaster.
You know, Mannheim is well known. They have a car auction there. You can go there and buy some really good. A lot of friends I know that are dealers. They go there and buy a lot of used cars there. It's weird, dude. It's wild because if you buy cars, they have a setup where you have finance companies there, so you can buy the car, finance it, and get food there at the same time.
Wow, that's a day right there. Yeah.
It's a big deal, dude. Mannheim is known for its car auctions and stuff like that.
That's good to know. All right. Let's get time out. Come back. Continue the Eagles discussion and some of the things that Nick Sirianni had to say. You'll also be interested in this, Derek. I'm going to tell you who was returning kicks today. One is going to really surprise you.
Okay.
And somebody returning punts, which is also really going to surprise you.
Okay.
All right. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. It's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Proud that they're a sponsor of the show and of the channel. I've been going there since I was a kid. They're family owned since 1985. Alex and the crew, I stop in. I'm in there every single week seeing those guys. They have 20 different styles of pizza. They have slices to go. They have specialized pizza your way. You call up and say, look, I like pineapple anchovy. Oh, okay. All right. That's what you got. But if you're just not up for pizza, they have fresh pasta. They have sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads. Bravo Pizza of Havertown's also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for charities, schools, little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You could follow them on Instagram and Facebook at the Bravo Pizza of Havertown for daily specials, promotions, and menus. They're at 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown, 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown. Give them a call, 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810, Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. Eagles.
What's up, everybody? That's D Gun. I am R. Ellis. We are Sports Take. Let's hit that like button if we could, friends. Appreciate you. Seeing everybody check in. John Doe's in Arizona. Let's see. Chuck is in Myrtle Beach, mid 80s. All right, Chuck. You making us jealous. I got you. But good to be hanging out with everybody here on this Thursday. All right, Gunner. So as I mentioned, Nick Sirianni had his press conference before practice began this morning. Okay, let me give you this first before we get into Sirianni. All right. So these were the guys that were returning kicks today in practice. Keep in mind, they do this kind of stuff a lot. They'll try people out. Somebody will jump in there, all that kind of stuff. But it was Boston Scott. No surprise.
Nope.
Kenneth Gainwell.
Nope.
Okay. The third one is the surprising one to me. Rashad Penny.
I don't want Penny back on kickoff.
I don't either for a couple of things. I don't want him getting hurt. B, he's never done it in the NFL. Now, he had 7 kick returns for touchdowns at San Diego State.
Okay.
He's good at it in college. But I can't risk this dude getting, and I know there aren't a ton of kick returns anymore, but I can't risk him.
No, considering the injury history, no, that's one. I would put the red jersey on him and make sure you tell everybody stay at least 5 yards away from him when he catches the ball. Nobody touch him. Don't even tag him.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't even tag his jersey. Just let him run like the wind. Okay. I'm not getting within a 5-yard radius of that dude, considering his history, man. I mean,
listen, I'm with you. He's bubble taped as far as I'm concerned. You don't even think about it. You
know those big bubbles. You ever see those videos where
yes,
you put them in a big
the
bubble,
ones that roll?
Yes, that's what I put him in. I'd give him the ball and just push him up the field, let him go.
I'm with you. Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, so that was the Penny part of it. I'm like, So the other one, mind you, they're not hitting when they do this. They're just catching them essentially and running up the field. But the other one that was surprising with punts is AJ Brown was working on punt returns. I don't think I'm in love with that either.
Ooh, wait a minute.
I know it's intriguing from a skill standpoint, but
wait a minute here. AJ returning punts. I've never seen it. It is intriguing.
Yep.
But here's the thing.
Like, do I think he could be really good at it? Yeah. Do I want him to get hurt doing it? No. But it's one thing to practice that. It's another thing to do it in a live game when you start hearing all the feet hitting the turf around you. Yeah.
That takes more than just practice. You got to get used to that in a game. Now, obviously, you got to practice it before you can do it, but still. Yeah. That's interesting, though.
I thought it was. Yeah. It definitely caught my eye. But the Penny thing, I cringed a little bit, but yeah. Admittedly, AJ Brown's intriguing. I just don't want him getting banged up too.
Well, see, here's the thing with punt returners, though. Usually, the better punt returners are guys that have a good wiggle when it comes to getting up the field.
Right.
AJ's more of a straight line type player. Yeah.
He could be like Brian Mitchell, though. Mitchell was just a brute strength kind of guy. In terms of returns.
But do you want your $100 million receiver back there returning punts?
I do not.
Especially if some overzealous individual takes a shot at him, didn't see him call fair catch and catches him in the solar plexus. You don't need that with him. Let Crash Covey stay back there.
All right. So let me go through the Jalen Hurts stuff before I get to Sirianni. So Jalen talked to the media after practice today. That there's been a lot made of the screenshot that he has on his cell phone.
Right.
Okay. Peter King asked him about it yesterday. He didn't want to answer it for Peter King. It came up again today. And he said, quote, "I'd rather not talk about that. I don't think it's really appropriate considering if it were up to me, no one would know about it." And I get that. So what we're referencing for people who may not know is there's a shot of him, a still shot of him walking off the field in Arizona with confetti coming down and all the Chiefs essentially celebrating in the background. So we know what it is. It's a reminder that this happened, use it as motivation. So He's just ticked that people even saw it, so he doesn't even want to go there. But
Why is he ticked? I don't understand. Why is he ticked that people saw it?
I guess he feels like they sort of eavesdropped on him to see it.
There's nothing wrong with having self-motivation, and then constant remind. Some people, some players, some coaches are of the mindset that was yesterday, move on. New journey to begin. Some people, some players like that constant reminder of what that feeling was like.
Yeah.
When they look at their phone or whatever, that constant feeling of we came up short. We had it for 30 minutes. We had this and we let it get away from us. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, but look, he's a different cat. You know what I'm saying? He likes to keep things really close to the vest. It doesn't surprise me. He was good today. Like he was asked, this is pretty interesting aside from the screenshot thing, on processing, on just kind of going through his sort of mental clock. Right. He said, quote, "For a long time, the world told guys like me that they couldn't process and they couldn't have that approach to the game and have the fundamental and mental awareness to execute and play at a high level." Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we know what that's in reference to, but
yeah, the black quarterback in the NFL.
Exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yep. Exactly right.
But I think we've come far from that. But maybe he uses that. Yeah, we don't know what motivates the individual. Maybe he continues to use that as well. There are a lot before him who had to pay that price. There had to be a first black quarterback to start in the National Football League, a first black quarterback, Doug Williams, to win a Super Bowl, a first black quarterback to surpass certain milestones individually. We've passed that. We've crossed all those barriers,
Yeah.
But if he wants to use that for motivation to continue, and maybe, who knows, maybe, I don't understand. In his case, he had his moment in the sun at Alabama. He had his moment in the sun at Oklahoma. He was highly drafted, shockingly highly drafted in the National Football League. He, quicker than we expected, supplanted a quarterback that had just gotten franchise quarterback money. And he's excelled to the point where he was number 2 behind another African-American quarterback in the MVP voting. So somewhere along the way, maybe somebody told him what he couldn't be, and he has constantly used that to be the best athlete he can be. I don't know. Obviously he's very private about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But he brought it up. So therefore it is open for discussion. No question about it.
I thought this was also interesting too. He was asked about just his physical conditioning, what kind of shape he's in or whatever. He said he's got 7.1% body fat. He said, "When I get in the mode of training, it's not a specific body fat that I demand of myself, but as long as I'm running good and feeling good, eating good, when you usually put good things into the pot, you get a good result." And he was asked about any changes he made to his diet. This comes from Zach Berman of the Athletic. He said after he cut out sugary drinks last year. He said no change that really. He said a lot of crawfish. That's probably a good one. So a couple things from Jalen. Just always like to pass those things along to you, the little odds and ends.
Well, a lot of athletes, as they mature, start eliminating things. They get with these dietitians, these nutritionists, and, to be a better athlete, to lessen body fat, they eliminate things from their diet. And sugar is one of the big ones. I remember Bernard Hopkins talking about he doesn't drink soda because basically it's diabetes in a can or a bottle, and there are a lot of people. I know a lot of young people now that don't drink sodas, just for that reason, because of the sugar content. Even in the diet sodas and the 0-calorie, type sodas, there's still sugar content that people worry about, and it's understandable. I applaud people who are that disciplined.
Yeah. So Sirianni was, as you would expect, very complimentary to Jalen. Like I mentioned to you before, what he mentioned about him was how he's been very consistent throughout the entirety of their practices thus far, and he was in the OTAs too. What he also mentioned was he's really becoming a coach on the field, and the conversations when he comes over to the sideline or when they talk about what they saw on a previous play, they're getting deeper and deeper. So they're like his understanding of what he's seeing. And this is what generally happens when you've been around a few years. Everything sort of slows down a little bit, and you're not as fooled by maybe some of the pre-snap stuff the teams do. That's good to hear. You know, that part of the game coupled with his, physical ability could be deadly. And this is how you get better. This is how you get better as a quarterback, this part of it.
Well, we keep talking about how much better can Hurts get, and maybe it's not in mechanics. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just taking better care of the body. For as strong as he is, maybe it's just that little bit. Maybe it's just that extra energy boost, from not having certain things in your body that tire you out sooner. I don't know. And like I said before, I think he could play exactly the same game that he played last year and be good enough, number one, to get this team back to a Super Bowl, number two, to be very much considered in the MVP race and possibly win it, in terms of just overall ability. But obviously, we all know our own selves individually better than anybody else. And all of a sudden, if you start eliminating things and you can feel it in terms of your energy level, your endurance level, then obviously you're going to stay the course. So, let's see if the road he's taking now enhances him in that regard. I don't know if he'll ever reveal it because, again, he's such a private guy. He's not going to tell you everything you want to know.
Yeah, he's very close to the vest, as they say. All right. Beyond that. All right. So Sirianni on Swift, DeAndre Swift said, quote, looks like a wide receiver out there. He's the ultimate playmaker. It sounds to me, Derek, like everything we've heard is he's going to be featured a lot. Like I think, however we want to call this, I think he is going to get the bulk of the reps if he stays healthy. Would you agree with that?
I still don't know about the bulk of the reps because I just look at the way Sirianni ran his backfield last year. And even though Miles Sanders put up the better numbers, Gainwell had his moment in the sun. Gainwell had big series where he was on the field and Miles was not. Yeah. I just think that you don't bring in a Penny, Gainwell, and you have Boston Scott and just hone in on one. Mm-hmm. Again, I think it's going to be determined. I think the volume of touches he will get will be determined by the matchups. If the coaches sit down leading up to a game and say, we can win this matchup all day with Swift against this linebacker in the slot, running wheel routes, I think that's when his numbers increase. But this offense, I don't think because then you become somewhat predictable if you constantly know what his role is going to be when he comes in the game.
Right.
But because they have so much depth and versatility, the fact that they are so unpredictable helped make that offense as good as it was last year. And I just think it's going to be game situations in terms of when he's featured, And you may go into a game not even thinking about him being as a primary weapon in the offense. All of a sudden you notice something when you get him on the field and you keep going to it. A lot of times teams will keep running the same play until an opponent stops it. You may run in different formations, but you're running the same play until somebody stops it. I think we could have situations like that also.
All right. Interesting there on that. Sirianni would not commit to either the committee thing or say anybody's the lead dog. I think which I think is the right way to go. He doesn't want to tip his hand, and he also wants to give himself options. If somebody's hot, you're riding that hot hand.
Yes. Sirianni understands he's in a market that doesn't forget. Okay. And let's face it, if he says anything definitively and it doesn't happen that way, it's going to be brought back up in the media, whether he's on WIP radio, whether he's in front of the media weekly. So he's basically left it very vague because his built-in. I never told you that. I told you it was very generalized in terms of what I'm thinking. I never told you any specifics. And I like this. I like his approach. He's learned well. He's learned very quickly and very well where he is and what city he's in, what media he's dealing with. Mm-hmm. I wonder if his approach would be a little different if he was in Cincinnati, Buffalo, Green Bay, where the media contingency is a lot smaller. He already understands this is a very unforgetful, very at times unforgiving market he's in right now.
I like that. Unforgetful. You're right. It's a good term. It's true. There are a lot of long memories here. A lot of people want to just bring it back up and say, hey, you said this, and that deal.
There's no question about it. He can basically, bail out real quick. No, I didn't. I never told you that.
Yeah.
I said, if you go back and look at the logs, this is what I told you.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for doing that, to be honest.
No, I don't either. No, listen, I don't blame him one bit for that being the case. No, I think it makes a lot of sense, from his standpoint, just to kind of, all right, we'll see how it goes. That's basically it. Broncos had a lot of bad luck injury-wise. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reporting that the linebacker Jonas Griffith tore his ACL. He started 8 games and had 46 tackles last year. It feels like they're the early team with the sort of bad luck with the injuries, right?
That's the second player. The receiver, Patrick, tore his Achilles.
Yep.
And now this one with an ACL.
Yeah.
Some bad karma, man. You shouldn't have said what you said, dude.
That's right, Sean Payton. Everybody's paying the price. All right. So we both watched. I don't know if everybody here has gotten a chance to see it yet, so I don't want to give too much away. But we both watched the entirety of the docuseries on Netflix produced by Peyton Manning called Quarterback. Marcus Mariota was one of the featured folks. So he was asked about this today, and he said, truth be told, I haven't actually watched it. I'm not a big fan of watching myself, but a lot of family and friends have had high reviews for it. And I think it's really cool to share the spotlight on things that people don't see. And Netflix has a vast audience to be able to share football with people that maybe don't pay attention to it. I think it's a really cool opportunity and just grow the game. I mean, how would you describe, like if we're just putting it in sort of basic terms, I don't know that it was the best light for him. I don't think it was bad necessarily, but he didn't come off great with sort of the way things were handled at the end. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that because he very suspiciously bowed out once he was demoted. And then there was a talk about, is he going to have surgery? Yeah. Is he going to do this? And I'm sorry. I apologize for those who have not seen it in its entirety. But you would think by now everybody who's wanted to watch it has watched it. Very suspicious how he bowed out, but he was handcuffed. What else would you say? Once you're demoted, what else would you say? That's a point, and I would feel the same way. If I'm demoted, I don't want people in my home. I don't want America in my home listening to what I'm saying to my wife about my situation, whether it was fair or not.
Yep.
And okay, you made the commitment, number one, to be a part of this. But then there's the human element of it also, because anything he said after that that's considered viewed negative is going to be blown up in the media and social media, which makes him look bad, which could have led to the fact that he might not have a job now. If he's considered a bad C, he may not have a job now, with the Eagles or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's pouting because he got demoted. Well, if you played up the expectation, especially on a losing team like Atlanta, you wouldn't have got benched. You don't want to open yourself up to unnecessary scrutiny. You really don't. And I don't blame him for it, but the fact he just disappeared from the team, and we heard the coaches talking about, what's his status? What's he doing? It kind of made him look bad, and he didn't even have a chance to defend himself.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that it was sort of portrayed like he took his ball and went home when he didn't necessarily have to have the surgery. That's the thing we ultimately don't know. We don't know what kind of pain this guy was in. Was he sucking it up and probably putting himself in a position,
right,
to maybe re-injure himself or injure himself worse when he was the starter? Yeah. And then he decided, if they're going in a different direction, I'm going to make sure I get this cleaned up because I have to look out for the rest of my career. I'm probably not going to be here any longer. Yeah, he probably was. I thought he came off well as a person and all that. I said the one observation I said to you was I wonder how much he still loves football at this point in time. It just sort of felt to me like, because at one point they did that episode where these guys were taking some hellacious hits. And he was just like, I'm not sure why we do this thing, and it kind of, you get it. I mean, he's getting beat up. He's going to say something like that. I think came off, as far as I'm concerned.
I was still, why I would still love football? Because of that 7-figure check.
Me too.
Good
reason for love. Yeah.
And especially as much as you want to play and be a competitor out there with the guys in the battles, in the trenches, the fact that I could stand on the sideline and knowing I'm getting paid a 7-figure income, even if it's barely above league minimum, whatever they're paying them, I'm good with that, especially if I'm a young guy and don't know what I want to do in the future. Basically, I'm building up I'm building up my funds so that whatever the transition is, when I decide to walk away from football, or football is done with me, I have a nice little coffer of money that I can fall back on until I determine exactly what it is I want to do.
Yeah. All right. Let's get a timeout, and we will turn our sights to the defensive side of the ball with the Eagles and dig in on some of the key questions as we go forward into this season. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Yes, knowing who to trust. It's tough. It's tough to find the right person, and you work too hard not to have someone with your best interest in mind and someone who's on top of everything. And that's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. If you have a small business and you're trying to get your employee benefits off the ground, it's another resource that Jim can help you with. I personally have entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and it has been the best thing I could have done. Trust me, for me and my family. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You can also email him, Murray, MURRAY, .jim@principal.com, Murray.jim@principal.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out with us. Sports Take on this Thursday. Yes, we have NFL action tonight. I can't believe I'm saying it. I can't even believe I'm saying there's an NFL game tonight. But
It's exciting and depressing at the same time.
Exciting and new. Yes. Yes. It is amazing.
The Love Boat.
Here's the other thing. The Eagles play a week from Saturday.
That's crazy.
They are at Baltimore a week from Saturday at 7:00. It's like
that's flat out crazy.
how is this even a thing? I'm happy. I'm happy it's a thing, but
I'm anxious to see the likes of Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith in game action. You know they're going to get some reps, even though they're going to be limited. You know they're going to get some reps, and they're probably going to be playing against second tier competition. So I just want to see them in a game situation, getting off the snap, so on and so forth. I want to see Juergens settling in at the right guard spot. Obviously he's going to be playing with backups and not the frontline guys. But I just want to get a better feel for what they're looking like in a game situation.
Well, let's go there. Do you think we'll see Jordan? Let's go defense first. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Reed Blankenship. Like, will we see these guys? Do you think? Do you think they'll get a little bit of time?
I think Reed will be the big question mark if he's penciled in as the starter, but I think we'll definitely see the other guys in limited roles. Even though Jordan Davis has a year under his belt, they've got to see what that stamina looks like in a game situation. There's no question about that. Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, you've got to get them. Everybody talks about how the speed of an NFL game is so much different than the speed of a college game and the speed of a practice session. So you got to get them a few reps. They may not play more than a series, but that's okay. Just let them get out there and work up a sweat just to get them acclimated to look. And the thing is, they're not going to see a lot of variations. You look at a lot of teams that they're playing on their schedule this year, teams that like to use a lot of motion and a lot of variations in their formations. They may walk to the line of scrimmage in one set and all of a sudden they shift into something else. You're not going to see them. They're not going to get to see a good dose of that. But to just get them out there, work up a sweat, knock a few heads, and then get them out before something devastating could happen.
Hey, speaking of that, you just reminded me of something. So I thought it was interesting. I was listening to Brian Johnson. He was on with the WIP morning show today. And one of the things he said was, what we train for is disguises. In other words, if you go back even 25 years ago, go back to 1996 or 97 or whatever, 1997, 98. A lot of times teams, what they would show you pre-snap was what you were going to get. He said, that's not the way it is anymore. They're always giving us these looks and then they change out of it right before the snap happens, which makes game planning that much more complicated in depth. So anyway, just to your point, how much different, it looks now from what it looked like.
And that's why I constantly say, even when he hit the ground running for real, it's going to take a little time for them to get continuity and to understand when offense moves, you've got to be moving at a drop of a hat. And that takes time. When you got seven new starters on a defense, that's going to take time. It's going to take a few games before they get this thing settled in.
No,
hopefully no more than a few games.
I believe you. I mean, I've been preaching this forever. Like just understand what the defense is going to look like for a little while. It's not going to be where the offense is. Offensively, so you think we will see some Juergens, even if the other ones aren't out there?
I think so. I think he needs to get those reps. When you look at how limited his playing time was, again, it may be only one series with him out there, but that's okay. Just let him get out there and get settled in. If the coach says it's his position today, not the season, but today, it's in his best interest to get out there and just basically work on his technique against somebody else, because they're not going to be playing against an opponent in a controlled practice environment until after that first game. So get him out there, let him work on his technique, his footwork, his hand extensions, and things like that. Again, you don't want to keep him out there long enough to the point where he could get hurt. But I would put him out there if for no more just one series to let him work on some individual technique stuff.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Let's go deep again for a second here. They lost Javon Hargrave. That was 11 sacks. Let's start with how you're going to supplement what you've lost. Who are the guys in your estimation? And I'm not expecting them to maybe get 11 sacks, but how are you making up what you lost sack wise in your opinion? Who are the people that either need to step up or step in and start to do, some work here?
Well, you lose 11 sacks from a Javon Hargrave, but it could be a combination of Jalen Carter and Derek Barnett making up those 11 sacks. Could be 6 and 5, 5 and 6 between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a combination of people. Same thing with your backup safety and your cornerbacks. Kayvon Wallace, this is your time. This is it. You don't have the buffer now of people in front of you. This is your time now, to help this team determine whether or not they're going to move forward with you beyond the 2023 season.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like that have to find their niche. You can't sit there and say he's a young player now. Yes, you're still a young player, but you've had enough game reps now to enhance your game. You should have spent this entire offseason looking at film, thoroughly understanding what you need to work on to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the next Marcus Epps for this team? That's a big question mark that they're going to have to find out. We don't know. Is it Greedy Williams? See, we keep overlooking Greedy Williams, and he was a quality corner when he played for Cleveland.
Yeah, maybe. Is
that his role?
I don't know. I mean, is he a lock to even make the team? I guess he is. All right, let me look at the depth chart.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Let's see. Okay. All right, here's the depth chart. So you go at corner, Bradbury, Maddox. We know Maddox is the third corner, and then Zach McPherson and Josh Jobe. At least that's what the way they have it listed on the left side. Then you go to the right side. It's Slay, Greedy Williams, Keely Ringo, and Josiah Scott. So we know Keely Ringo's not going anywhere.
No.
Josiah Scott was here last year, although at times it was a struggle.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got probably a pretty good shot to make the team. And I'm assuming he'll play special teams too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how Zach McPherson and Jobe don't make this team. Jobe showed flashes last year.
Mm-hmm.
McPherson also showed. I don't know how you can't keep everybody. That's why this is so interesting.
Yeah.
Avonte Maddox, Bradbury, Slate, those are slam dunks. It's a great question you bring up. Is Greedy Williams going to make this team? He's a quality defender, but Cleveland gave up on him, and he's still a young player. Why?
Yeah.
Why did Cleveland give up on him?
I don't know.
And then you got Zach McPherson, Josh Jobe, Josiah Scott, all here last year.
Right.
How many of those players will they try to keep on the practice squad?
Yeah. I probably Jobe and Scott. Worst case, then in that circumstance, maybe Greedy makes it. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. But back to the sack thing. Look, I think it's just a group effort. It's going to have to be a little bit of Jalen Carter. It's going to have to be maybe a little bit of. I'm not expecting much in terms of sacks for Jordan Davis, but maybe it's Jordan Davis. Maybe it's Derek Barnett if he's on this team. I think it's going to be a combo. Like if you can get 4 people, to get you 12 sacks or 11 sacks. Okay. I mean, you're unless there's injuries, you're looking at a rotation of Graham.
Yep.
Sweat.
Yep.
Barnett. He makes it.
You keep saying if Barnett makes it, why?
I mean, I don't know. I guess he will make it. I guess he will. I guess I'm just not counting on him. Maybe I should just pencil him in. And then you also have Nakobe or Hassan Reddick coming off the edge.
Yeah.
And you have Nolan Smith coming off the edge. So I guess you have to look at it that way too.
Let's see. Didn't Matt Leo retire? Didn't he retire recently?
Did he?
Did I hear that Matt Leo is he still there?
I don't know. Let me check. Let me do a check real quick. Hold on. Keep going. I'll look it up.
I think based on the Eagles, and I can't say this enough, based on the Eagles, Tone's right. Leo retired. That's what I thought I saw.
Oh, I'm sorry. He July 25th he did. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and the Eagles, and say what you want to say about them. they're very good at giving players second. And let's see, Chris D says wishful thinking on my and Robbie's part about Barnett won't be here for game one. But I think, and I will say this, and I can't say this enough, to Chris D and to everybody out there.
Yeah.
How many times did they say the same thing about Brandon Graham? Get him out of here. First round bust. Can't stay healthy. Hasn't produced, so on and so forth. No matter what the public outcry was from the fan base and the media, the Eagles did not buckle when it came to Brandon Graham. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're right. The exception is there wasn't the same kind of knuckleheaded stuff from Brandon. With the personal fouls. But yeah, you're right.
But at some point, a young man has to grow out of that. If that's the one thing that overshadowed his career, there's no question about his potential. It's just that he had the mental gaffes all the time. Okay, right. So now he's had one full year to sit this thing out. I'm trying to give the dude the benefit of the doubt. At some point, he's going to mature in that regard. Yeah.
No, I get it.
And I think this is the year he could make that turn that corner. I really do.
Well, let's put it this way. A, if he doesn't turn the corner, he certainly won't be an Eagle. And B, then he sort of becomes like league minimum guy, somewhere else trying to prove himself in another system. He's got to know that that's the juncture of his career he's at right now.
I'm sure he's had enough people in terms of coaches and stuff like that talk to him about, dude, you have a lot of talent, but this is the one thing that continuously overshadows what you could possibly do in a football field. It's got to sink in at some point. It's got to.
All right, so here's the other question I have. CJ had 6 interceptions last year, had a real nose for the football.
Right.
Who is it in your estimation who steps up there in terms of the Eagles getting the takeaways?
Oh, geez.
That's scary, right? I was thinking about this today. I'm like, okay, I could see Bradbury and Slay getting a couple here and there, right? But as far as the safeties go, and maybe I should give Blankenship a little bit more of a let's see, because he did have the pick against Aaron Rodgers, but I'm a little worried about that department too, the takeaways.
If we don't have a safety step up and not equal the amount of INTs that CJGJ had, I don't have a problem with it if they're not giving up the big plays over the top. See, if the numbers are down in terms of picks, but they're still keeping everything in front of them, which means they're going to have the cornerbacks playing 7 to 10 yards off the ball, I don't have a problem with that because they're not giving up the 30, 40-yard bomb type plays, 60-yard bomb type plays. So I'm willing to give to get. Is Blankenship that guy? I don't see Blankenship as a 6 or 7 interception type guy.
No.
I do see him having the ability to be a sure tackler, being a heads-up player in terms of trying to keep things in front of them. It comes down to communication between Blankenship and whoever's playing next to him at that safety spot. How many times do we see safeties talking to each other after the opposition has a big play, throwing their hands up? I thought this, then I thought you were here. Didn't you hear my call? No, I didn't hear your call. Did you hear my, I told you to drop down. I didn't hear you. So that's what I'm more concerned about, more so than anything else.
Yeah, and that's where, again, if you're Sean Desai, it's hard because you really have to hit the ground running.
Right.
We're trying to teach guys who maybe are inexperienced, like Blankenship's inexperienced, Carter's inexperienced, Davis, Nolan Smith. You're doing that, but you're also trying to get these guys who are just new, like Terrell Edmonds, et cetera, trying to get them just, acclimated to what they're doing here, and learning a system that may be new to them, even though it's similar to what the Eagles did last year. It's new to those guys.
Well, see, and I'm with Chuck Hutton also. He says give up field goals instead of TDs.
Yeah.
If they're giving up 3s instead of 7s, I can live with that, especially with this potent offense. I can live with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my estimation, if that's the case, you're fine. They're going to score, man. We talked about it yesterday. I mean, this is a team that averaged 28 points per game. If they're not hurt, they're getting at least that, or they're in the 30s.
I agree.
So you are going to have some wiggle room as a defense. You are. It's going to look a little different because you're going to have more games that are back and forth. You're going to have more games where you're not in some comfortable lead because you're just playing better competition. So that's where you're going to need, can you get a big stop even though you gave up some points earlier in the game?
Yes.
Can you get a big turnover? That's something that they were very good at last year, but they had, frankly, on paper, at least maybe a little bit more talent and the competition was less.
When you're playing the likes of Kansas City Dallas, Buffalo, Jets, even Seattle. I'm going to throw Seattle in there.
Yeah.
It could be a back and forth game. Those games that could be back and forth. And those are the games that could be determined by one stop. Just one stop could decide the win or loss success ratio.
Yeah.
So will this defense gel enough to the point he can get those one definitive stops at those crucial points? And we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. I'm gonna run through this little exercise, right? And you tell me, because with excluding maybe New England, you're going to be getting some pretty big time receivers every week. Okay. So week 2, you get Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, right. And Addison, the kid they drafted out of USC.
You got to include the tight end also.
The Vikings. Right. So you're coming out of the shoot. Even though we don't think Tampa's going to be great,
right?
You're still dealing with Mike Evans, who we talked a lot about yesterday. Yes. 9 straight 1,000-yard receiving years.
Chris Godwin.
They get some pesky like third and fourth guys as well. Then the following week, you get McLaurin and Dotson in that crew with Washington.
Right.
If Cooper Kupp's healthy, you'll get Cooper Kupp week 5 at the Rams. Garrett Wilson and crew the next week with Aaron Rodgers.
Jeez.
The next week you get Tyreek Hill and Waddle.
Jeez.
Then you're back to Washington. Then you get CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks.
Oh my goodness. And Michael Gallup.
Then whatever Kansas City's throwing out there at you. We know Kelsey, obviously, and their guys.
It doesn't make a difference who's playing wide receiver for Kansas City. They're going to get theirs.
Exactly. And then Buffalo the next week, where you're talking about Stephon Diggs and Davis and that crew.
Yep.
And some good tight ends over there.
Yep.
Following week, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle.
Oh, jeez.
Dallas again. Seattle, Metcalf, Lockett, and they drafted Smith and Jigba.
Yep.
Okay. Then
supposedly he's having a phenomenal camp.
Yeah, he looks really good so far. Right. And then it's the Giants, Waller, and we'll see what their other guys do.
Yeah.
Arizona, and then it's the Giants again. But you're talking about really up until you get to like week 16, almost every week, you're facing at least 2 to maybe 3 beasts each and every week.
Just think about this also. Out of all those names you just mentioned, think about how many candidates there are to finish as the number 1 receiver in the NFL in terms of yards and touchdowns in the season.
A lot of them.
We already know Jefferson is defending in that category.
Right. Tyreek Hill, Waddle.
Kupp did it a few years ago.
Kupp 2 years ago took the Triple Crown. Catches, yards, and whatever, touchdowns, I think.
Yeah. But you know what? Sometimes stats are misleading. If they get their stats, but you're winning the games or you're keeping the overall team point totals down, let's face it. We talk about how deep and good this team is. Everybody's paid to score and defend.
True.
So you're going to have to give up something to get something. It's always not going to look pretty. I don't concern myself with if my team is number 1 or in the top 10 across the board in certain categories. The bottom line is how many games are you winning?
True.
And I think Kansas City is a prime example of that. This is the team that's a dominant offense, but look how mediocre the defense was.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they won 17 out of 20 games. Okay.
Right.
If you can outscore the opponent or outpoint your opponent week in and week out, you're racking up the W's. I don't care how you get to the finish line with the W, as long as you get the W.
True. I mean, yeah, really. I mean, that's all that matters. And again, I think the Eagles' defensive numbers are going to be a little bit skewed because of the start. I think as the season progresses, their numbers are going to get better there. But I think early, the numbers might be inflated a little bit. Then they'll start to come back down. It's all about where are you at this point? Are you progressing or are you getting better? And I think that's how we're going to view it.
I want to go back to a question in the chat for just a moment. It's a very good question from Glenn Washington Sr.
Okay.
It says, do you think it'll be an issue with Hassan Reddick since there was a mention of his contract and being underpaid?
Okay.
No, I don't think Hassan Reddick is that type of player because of the culture. See, if you had 1 or 2 players on the team that were verbose about their individual accolades, numbers, I think it could be a problem. But because of the culture with this team, a star-studded team, and you don't have a player that does that, you don't want to be the first player to step out of line in that regard, because then you're going to be singled out, especially from a fan base, even if they agree with you that you're underpaid, especially from a fan base that you're about me instead of we.
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick, he has a chance to come home. He got paid decently, but now that you look at the numbers and you see where he is, like 20th in the league in his category, you understand why he would be upset. But if you notice by his answer, he didn't show any irritation by it. He gave you a very bland answer. He gave you the exact answer that you should give in that situation. First of all, the question catches you off guard.
Yeah.
But he collected his thoughts very well, very quickly, and said, I'm not going to stand here. Y'all see what I do. That's all he said.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing with him, if this was the second year and he had produced like that, then I think it's a conversation more than it is after 1 year. Like I believe if Hassan Reddick's healthy, you're going to see very similar numbers. I have no doubt about that.
And
But
JM is right. We've said it before. He didn't bring it up himself. Jeff McClain asked the question, as a good reporter does.
I mentioned that yesterday. I said, in fairness to him, he answered this. He didn't. He's not holding out. There's none of that.
He didn't initiate it. No.
All he did was answer a question. But I think that the Eagles would be more amenable to doing something if it was the second. If he was heading in the last year of his deal and he had crushed it 2 straight years, I don't have any doubt. I don't know what they're going to do here. I don't know that they tweak this thing or they just say, hey man, let's have another year here before we do this.
If I'm Howie Roseman, here's what I tell him and his representation. You have a valid point, but let's have this discussion after this season. The numbers aren't going to change right now. We need that wiggle room in case we need to add something else to the equation, as we did last year with Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. You know, you're being paid decent. I understand that you're a little upset because the numbers are not in the top 10 in terms of what you produced in monetary category. But, you know, very seldom do we approach things like this after the first year. Now, if he does similar again as year number 2, we'll definitely sit down and revisit this. And if Howie identifies that we need him moving forward, Howie's not going to hem and haw about the numbers. He'll find a way to make the numbers look, appealing.
And also understand that is a position they prioritize. It's not like this is a running back who ran for 1,500 yards or 2,000, and they're all of a sudden they're going to rip up a contract. They do value edge rushers. They pay them. So
yes,
yeah.
You know, Big Sills brings up the question: do they extend Nick Sirianni this season? I wouldn't put it past Howie.
I wouldn't put it past them, and that's usually something that gets done like behind closed doors, and then we find out about it.
In two seasons, a young unknown commodity has led his team to the playoffs and gotten his team in the second year to a Super Bowl. I think it's worthy of a discussion. There's no question about it. And if his team wins, and that's a conversation I would start seriously looking at in like December. If this team is like head and shoulders above the loss category, absolutely I extend him. Because whatever his numbers are is not going to affect his 2024 numbers. It's going to kick in beyond that. So definitely, you identify that you have a coach you want to be here for the long term. Now, obviously, things didn't work out the way we thought they would with Doug Peterson.
Right.
Now, have the Eagles learned their lesson about don't step over your boundaries, let your coach this team. That was a big problem. Doug wanted to have more say. Eagles didn't want to have more, they wanted to have more input. Howie likes to have more input. Could he get to that point with Nick Sirianni? I don't know. Howie has learned a lot of valuable lessons that he shared with us in the media over the last couple of years about things he's had to learn. Was that a valuable lesson he learned with Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl for you in his second year? Do you take the same approach that, I just need to be more involved with the team, or do you back off? If Nick Sirianni is still, do you back off and give Nick more leeway?
I think they've given him more from the jump. Like, in other words, I think originally the way that whatever the arrangement or agreement was, I think Doug was fine early just coaching. And then as time went on, I think he wanted more say. And I don't frankly know that they trusted his say. And I think that became a bone of contention. It feels like to me, Nick has had more input on his staff and other things. I think he's more involved. I think maybe they learned a little bit from the Doug situation.
Yes. Now, here's one I'll ask you. Big Sales says, is Nick an upgrade over Doug?
To be determined. Doug won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I can't put Nick ahead of Doug right now.
There's a lot of similarities between the two. They're both player coaches.
Yeah.
They both know how to thrive in a high-profile market. The difference was Doug knew what he was getting into as a player here in Philadelphia, so he knew the culture of the fan base and the media here. Sirianni came in here blind. I'm sure he talked to a lot of people about what's Philadelphia like, what's the organization like. But Nick Sirianni has carved out his own niche very quickly, and he has the utmost respect from the front office and the fan base here. But I think that question, as you just said, you have to put the caveat on it, to be determined. To be determined.
Yeah.
And I think it will be based, unfortunately, it will be based if he can win a Super Bowl here.
I agree with you. And look, do I think that Nick is on a really strong path? Yes, I do. I think he's on a really strong path to get the team in the playoffs the first year after a 4-win season. And then the following year, he has him in the Super Bowl. Like, he's doing a quick climb. But let's not forget, Doug won it in his second year with a backup quarterback, backup left tackle, backup linebacker, blah, 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 blah. And coached what I thought was a ballsy, take no prisoner kind of Super Bowl. I thought Nick and his staff maybe didn't have the best game of the season in the Super Bowl, personally. Right. So at advantage, at least right now, Doug, but I think Nick is headed on a fast rocket ship to being, really good.
And that's why I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to extend him, because let's face it, across the board, I brought this stat up early in the year. I think it was back in April. How much money the NFL is paying out to coaches and front office people that are no longer with the team. It was in excess of $500 million. So even if the Eagles extended Nick, and let's say it didn't pan out after the 2024 season, and they have to pay him a buyout. So right. What? It's commonplace. Look at the money they had to pay Carson Wentz.
Yeah, exactly.
It's commonplace in the NFL.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I think that's these are all the things. When you start losing coaches, when you start losing players off winning teams, how do you respond? It's what made the Patriots so great. It's what's made, teams, I don't know, like the Steelers, who have been pretty consistent over the years. You've been able to overcome that sort of stuff. So now we're going to find out about the Eagles. It was a struggle when the Eagles started losing, Reich and some of the other people. So this is going to be one of the true tests. And this is where I think it's good that Nick's got more of a delegation role. He can still oversee everything. He certainly has more of a role when it comes to the offense, but still, I think Nick will do a good job. And I think Howie and Jeffrey Lurie learned from the way that they handled things with Doug too. I hope they're just continuing to get better.
JM brings up an interesting point in his comment where he said Doug failed after the Super Bowl coaching staff left. We'll see how we'll see how effective the team is under Nick with similar circumstances. I would add this also. Not just the coaching staff, but look how decimated that team was by injuries along the offensive line and the secondary, both the first and the second year after their Super Bowl year. Those were big drop-offs. And Carson Wentz was getting his brains beat out in terms of sacks. He became gun-shy behind that offensive line because he had so many injuries. So it wasn't just the coaching staff. It was that the frontline personnel wasn't there either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great point. And we've talked about this time and time again. When you get to a Super Bowl, every buzzard out there wants to pick your carcass clean of players and coaches. I hate to put it like that, but it's true. Yeah. It's part of the fraternity in the NFL. Every team goes through that. Kansas City lost, Eric Bieniemy. They lost a great player, Frank Clark.
They did.
Who just happened to go to
2 years ago. They lost Tyreek Hill. Yeah,
lost Tyreek Hill. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? It's not easy to do. So we're going to find out.
All right, we'll step aside. We'll come back. A little NFL talk. Here's the question I want to pose to you, Derek, and to our audience. Which quarterback who's with a new team this year will have the most success? All right, we'll run through it because there's a lot of new faces taking over new teams. So we'll dive into that. In addition, our greatest series continues today. Tampa Bay Bucks. We will do the Tampa Bay Bucks today. All right, don't go anywhere. That's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Pro Action Restoration, they're absolutely the best. They are the best in the business. If you have a home, you have a business, you have a property that you own, and unfortunately you deal with water, smoke, fire, mold damage, you're not sure who to turn to. Well, Pro Action Restoration is the place that you turn to. In fact, they're available and around and on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I went through it on a Saturday at my parents' house. I got them right out there. They helped my parents out. They cleaned it up. It was a great experience all around. You will not be disappointed. I can trust me on that. Pro Action Restoration is licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. They will work in conjunction with your insurance company also. So if it's water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
Back. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you hanging with us. He is Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take. JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, Gunner. Question for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is who I have in terms of new faces here. Now, admittedly, like Sam Howell and Jordan Love were with their teams last year, but they're going to be the starters this year. So I'm going to count them in this category. Okay. New quarterbacks in new places, and which one will have the most success. So I have Aaron Rodgers, the Jets. I'm going to assume CJ Stroud gets the start for the Texans. Anthony Richardson's getting all the ones now, first team reps in with the Colts. But you could throw Minshew in there too if you want. They're both new. Bryce Young, Carolina. Yep. Jimmy G, Raiders. Sam Howell, Washington. Jordan Love, Green Bay. Derek Carr, New Orleans. Baker Mayfield in Tampa. I don't think I'm missing anybody, right?
Nobody I can think of.
Yeah, I think that's it. All right. So of that grouping, which of these guys do you think will have the most success with their new team this season?
On the surface, I'm torn between Rodgers and Derek Carr.
Okay.
In terms of when you say success, you mean individual success, right?
Individual. Well, I mean, you could relate it to the team too, but I mean, yeah. Who's going to play well, I guess?
I think Aaron Rodgers is in the best situation in terms of overall personnel surrounding him. Even as good as New Orleans defense can be, it doesn't match the personnel across the board that the Jets have. I think the Jets, because it was such a stout defense, will give Aaron Rodgers more opportunities with the football in his hands to do more damage than Derek Carr down in New Orleans. So if push comes to shove, and I think Aaron Rodgers is on a mission to change his national image in a lot of ways, and I think, you look at some of the darts he's been throwing, especially to Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
But then again, if Michael Thomas is all the way back with Chris Olave down in New Orleans, that's going to be a show to enjoy. I'm going to say Rodgers. I'm going to lean towards Rodgers. What about you?
I would definitely go Rodgers for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like he's got a chip on his shoulder and he wants to prove to everybody. He wants the Brady moment where he can go somewhere else and do his thing, especially at his age. I also think he's got a lot of good weapons. He's not out there by himself. He's got a veteran. Garrett Wilson got that year under his belt last year and showed you that he's an elite receiver. And it's not just Garrett Wilson. The question I have in New York is going to be the offensive line and just how good that unit's going to be in terms of blocking for him. But I think he's set up the best to succeed. I kind of went back and forth here. I think Derek Carr makes a lot of sense because, again, he's in a situation where he's got Olave, Michael Thomas coming back, Kamara out of the backfield. And I think he has a defense that will put him in a position to succeed. Same with Rodgers. Like they're going to have some short fields because their defenses are good. So I think both of those guys are the obvious. I think of the sort of unknown-ish, and Jimmy G's certainly not unknown, but of the unknown-ish, I think Bryce Young's going to have a good year in Carolina.
Really?
Yes, I do. I think Bryce Young is going to have a good year in Carolina. I think the combination of he and Frank Reich and a quarterback-friendly system, even though the weapons aren't awesome, I think we're going to come away saying Carolina made the right choice with him with the first overall pick. I think that's going to be our takeaway with him down there. Now, I'll tell you who at least early it seems like, and we are early. We haven't even played a preseason game yet. The reviews out of the Colts are rave reviews about Anthony Richardson. I know. Take it for what it is, a grain of salt and all that stuff. But even the veterans, like I saw Quentin Nelson talk about how this guy is just jumping off the page with everything that he does. And he's a specimen. He's gigantic, right? I mean, he's a physical freak and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, watch out for Richardson. I think the first year in Carolina is going to be good for Bryce Young. But if you're asking me, and it sounds like it's chalk here, it's Rodgers, it's Carr. I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about Jimmy G. I don't know why.
I'm thinking the same thing. Jimmy G is a good manager, but Josh McDaniels likes more of a wide open offense. Yeah. I don't know if Jimmy G can run that. even as creative, he ran it well. I will say this: he ran it well in San Francisco. The problem was he kept getting injured.
Yeah.
He ran it well. How quickly will he adapt to Josh McDaniels' offense? But the luxury that he has, and I mentioned this yesterday, you got Tom Brady coming in now, and him and Josh were great friends. If there's anybody that can help him understand and visualize better what a Josh McDaniel offense should look like, it's Tom Brady. So I think that's a big plus for Jimmy G in Vegas. But I had to base my decision on which team had the better defense. Better defense meaning giving the offense more opportunities with the football. And the Jets defense head and shoulders is better than any of the other defenses that we're looking at here on paper.
Yeah, I think that's a big component because sometimes we just look at it for whatever offensive weapons they have, et cetera. Your defense can really set you up well and put you in short yardage, short fields, those kind of things. Keeps the other team's offense off the field, gives you more possessions, all those kind of things. So I think that is a big piece of this thing. I'll tell you, I'm very interested to see what Hal looks like with some of the receivers that he has. I'm really interested to see if Jordan Love can play. You invested a first-round pick in him. The Commanders have a lot riding on Hal. Those two guys are very interesting to me, even though they're not rookies, and what that's going to look like.
Right.
And Love's got a lot of young guys, but young guys who got quality experience last year with Aaron Rodgers. Hal's got a lot of quality guys, period. He's just got good players. Hal does. I mean, he's got McLaurin. Who am I? Samuel.
See, somebody mentioned in the chat.
Dotson.
CJ Stroud. CJ's in a good position to learn, but he's going to go through a lot of growing pains there. First year head coach. You got a lot of your wide receiving core is just okay.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take some lumps down there. I hate to say this, he could be in a situation similar to what Justin Fields was in Chicago, running for his life until he figures things out.
Could be.
Because the team, even though it looks better on paper defensively because they spent some money on defense, you still got to grow. I think if what we're hearing about Bryce Young is true, that he's head and shoulders above what a rookie should look like at this stage of a career, okay. It's gonna take him less amount of time than your average rookie to adapt to the NFL way of doing things, but he's still going to go through some growing pains. Aaron Rodgers has seen everything you can possibly see in pro football. Highly decorated. You're not going to fool in Aaron Rodgers. And I can't emphasize this enough. He has the best collection of weapons around him that he's ever had in his entire pro football career. And that's even the year they won the Super Bowl in 2010. Mm-hmm. There's no excuse for Aaron Rodgers not excelling with the Jets. And again, I have to keep adding the caveat. I think just listening to Aaron, him embracing New York and New Jersey where he's living.
Wanting multiple years there, the whole night.
Wanting more years, giving back $35 million. He's already gone to Broadway shows, games. He's very visible in that area. I mean, Green Bay is a small market where you can't even hide, but you didn't hear about Aaron Rodgers being visible in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers could go nowhere in Green Bay. And New York's the same way. New York's 10 times worse because when you go out in public in New York, you got every media person out there, you got every fan of any sport out there, but he's made himself very visible in New York. He's embracing the moment because he knows this is the twilight of his career. This is it for him, right? So he knows that.
Yeah.
So why not go full bore? I've got a chance to win one more Super Bowl. I think he's in the best possible situation he could be in. You think about how many quarterbacks that didn't finish their careers with the teams they started out with that never got back to that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning's an exception to that rule. Aaron Rodgers is in the best situation he could possibly be in to get that one more moment in the sun, to hoist that trophy one more time in his career, to add to his legacy.
Yeah. I mentioned Bryce Young, Derek, and the biggest thing I wonder about is, can he just physically hold up? Like, I don't think anybody doubts the skill. If you've seen him, especially make like off-schedule plays, the guy's incredible. But 5'10", a buck, whatever, I don't know what he is now, 70, 80. he is light. He
Yes.
is light. Like Jalen isn't super tall, but Jalen's strong as an ox.
Yes.
Like he is a tank.
Yes.
Especially core, lower body. That's
you
the
look
big
at,
thing for me.
You look at Richardson. This dude is 255 pounds.
Oof. Yeah.
He's like Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
He's a linebacker playing quarterback.
Boy, let's hope not. Let's not do that to him. But I know what you mean. Yeah.
CJ Stroud is a big boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Derek Carr down in New Orleans. He's a good sized quarterback. What does that offensive line down in New Orleans look like?
Yeah.
Jimmy G is not the biggest guy out there, but he's not small by quarterback standards either.
No. Yeah. He's not small. All right, let's you want to do a little greatest? Let's continue. We only have a couple more teams left. It's amazing.
Oh, you're gonna do it this early?
Yeah, let's do it this early. Why not?
Let me get to the pages.
Get your notes. Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the latest that we're going to be doing today, and this was again for another expansion team that's been around since 1976. Man, they sure as heck have some studs. They do. They have a lot of Hall of Famers on this team. All right, you want to take number one? Feel free.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Leroy Selman. He was the first player ever drafted by that organization.
Okay.
You just mentioned the name Leroy Selman out of Oklahoma to Tampa Bay fans nowadays. He is held in the highest regard for that organization. Coaches would refer to him as a man among boys, the way he played the game.
Yeah.
He played on a Tampa Bay team that lost its first 26 games in existence, and they only won 7 games in their first 3 years of existence. But he stood out. He was a man among boys in terms of the way he played the game, his approach to the game. He racked up 78.5 career sacks. You talk about a guy coming off the edge who was consistent, who was stout, tenacious. There's no doubt about it. Leroy Selman is the architect of individual success for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization.
Dan wore 93 in college because that's what Leroy Selman wore at OU. Pretty cool.
That's respected as finest right there.
That's tribute right there.
And when he got there too, he got to play with his brother Dewey in Tampa for a number of years.
It's true. Yeah, look, they went through hell those early years. The John McKay early years. The greatest line ever is, what'd you think about your team's execution today, coach? And he said, I'm in favor of it. That's one of the all-time great lines.
Yes.
All right. I'll go Derek Brooks. Just a machine, right? I mean, leader. He's the all-time leader in tackles, forced fumbles. He's 5th in interceptions. He's 2nd in games played. Again, he represents everything that was good and great about those teams during those years. And he was that just piece right in the middle. He was that foundational piece that they had right there, who just did everything and was even a better guy off the field than he was on. And he's a Florida kid as well, which is really cool. Florida State Hall of Fame. I don't know what else there is to say about Derek Brooks, the model of consistency. So he was that good.
Well, he played 14 years in Tampa and 11 years were Pro Bowl years. That's all you need to know about Derek Brooks. He only had 13.5 sacks in his career, but over 1,700 tackles. This man was all over the football field. And he parlayed that into a Hall of Fame career. Here's the even bigger stat, Rob. He never missed a game. Think about the position he played. He never missed a game in his career.
Yeah, you play linebacker in that league, it's a car crash every play.
And he was there from start to finish.
Well, yeah.
That's all you need to know about Derek Brooks.
Okay. Who else are you going with?
You got to go Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Warren Sapp in life after football has not been as illustrious. But Warren Sapp, for a man of his size, his speed, he was a violent tackler. 96.5 career sacks. What couldn't Warren Sapp do? Collapse the pocket, get after the quarterback, get down the line of scrimmage to keep running backs from making bigger plays. He talked a lot, exerted a lot of energy, talking a lot, but he also backed it up on the football field. He was a nightmare. Offensive linemen will tell you about how he was a nightmare trying to block. When he hit the gaps, he would hit gaps a lot of times before offensive linemen could get in their sets.
Yeah.
And Warren Sapp was that guy. I loved watching him play as many years as he played. Can't say enough about the attributes of a Warren Sapp in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, to get as many sacks as that guy got from the defensive tackle position, I mean, he was just he was a force. He was a force to be reckoned with, man. And I agree with Dan. Sapp is what Jerome would have been. Yeah, he is.
Great point. Great point.
Jerome, you know, I talk about Jerome all the time. I love Jerome. I know Dan does. Dan played with him. He would have been in any conversation with the greatest defensive tackles that have ever played football, in my estimation.
And Warren Sapp was also only one of 12 players in the history of the NFL to get to a Pro Bowl, be a Defensive Player of the Year, and to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. Yep.
Well
said. How about Rondé Barber? 16 seasons.
There he goes.
He's still running. 5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros. You know, I don't care what position you're playing in the NFL to do it for 16 years, but in a position where you do have to run and cover and hit the way that you do at safety is pretty crazy. And to think the early portion of his career, he was totally overshadowed by his twin brother, Tiki. Totally.
Yeah.
And then Rondé just kept, you know, every single year getting better and better and better and better. So I'll go Rondé Barber.
Well, he's one of only 2 players that are in the 40-20 club. The other one being Charles Woodson, 40 interceptions and 20 quarterback sacks. He still holds the team record also for interceptions with 40. Not bad for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
And you're right. Tiki always overshadowed him because Tiki played in the media capital of the world, New York, and rightfully so. Tiki had an outstanding career as well. You know, but Rondé Barber, you know, it's funny how when we talk about the greatest cornerbacks that ever played the game, you know, we always talk about the Deion Sanders and guys. We don't talk about Rondé Barber, but Rondé Barber's numbers are as good as most cornerbacks that ever played the game, and rightfully so. Yeah, I had forgotten he's in the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you.
I did too. And I remembered only because I was watching, I don't know if it was an NFL Life, the Football Life, or whatever, but I remember them going to his house in Tampa. Yeah, that's the only thing, the only reason it just jogged my memory. All right, who else do you have?
John Lynch.
Yep.
John Lynch was, you talk about a violent hitter on the back end of a defense. He's 6'2", 220. Now, obviously, John Lynch played on outstanding Tampa Bay defenses, overshadowed by a lot of big names on that defense. But John Lynch's name had to be included in this because of what he provided on the back end. Man, he would lay lumber on people. He wasn't the fastest guy out there, but was one of the smartest playing on the back end of a defense as well. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler. You know, that's all you need to know about him. He played 15 years as a safety in the National Football League. 15 years. Mm-hmm. You know, the two biggest attributes when you talk about a John Lynch was big hitter, smart. He was like having a quarterback on the back end of a defense. And the guys up front will tell you that.
Yeah. And he was the guy who played quarterback at Stanford. And then Bill Walsh came in and they converted him.
Yep.
Safety. He was a great baseball player. Was drafted by the Marlins. Was going to play baseball. Things worked out for him pretty well playing football. I'll go Doug Williams. Doug Williams' numbers aren't going to pop at you necessarily like the numbers we see today. But you're talking about a guy who played on an expansion team, but also turned that expansion team around and actually beat the Eagles in the playoffs in '79. But to get them to, from where they were as a laughingstock winless team to, being in playoff contention, all the while, taking a beating because your offensive line wasn't great necessarily. He deserves a lot of props. He didn't play there a ton of years, but they were impactful years.
And you have to think about the pressure he was constantly under of having to look over his shoulder because he still played at a time where the African-American quarterback wasn't highly respected in the National Football League. Yep. So, and a lot of fans down there in Tampa were always indifferent about Doug Williams, and he found a way to overcome that, Mm-hmm. But imagine going through those emotions and not being able to say what you truly feel because you knew people were going to jump on it every given moment.
Yeah.
But you're right. He set a tone for that foundation down there because of his quarterback play, not just as a quarterback, but as a spokesman for that organization as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's hard enough just to break into the league as a quarterback and to deal with all the other stuff that he probably was dealing with on top of it. Very, very difficult, man. That's for sure. Okay. Who's up? Oh, you're up now.
Can we not overlook Mike Evans? We talked about him yesterday. There's no other player in the history of the NFL that has started his career with 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. And we talk about how Mike Evans is always overlooked. When you mention the words, who's the best receivers in the game today, Mike Evans' name is never mentioned. It's always the Tyreek Hills, the Justin Jefferson, the Stephon Diggs. Mike Evans has quietly gone about his career doing something that no other wide receiver in the history of the game has ever done. 9 consecutive seasons, and think about the volume of quarterbacks he's played with in his career. And he's still been able to do it. Even in situations, the number, I brought this number up. Only 1 year did he have 96 catches. Only 1 year did he have 86 catches. Every other year, his catches were in the 60s and the 70s. He still has had 9 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. His career average is over 15 yards a catch. That's a big-time player despite who's throwing you the football.
You're right about that. You are right about that. He does not get the respect that he deserves. I'll go James Wilder. You know, this is a guy who was a quality running back for this team in the 80s and whatnot. Ripped off almost 6,000 yards on the ground, was also very good at catching the ball out of the backfield. He had 430 receptions as well. Was a really quality runner. I see Jim G ask about Ricky Bell. I loved Ricky Bell.
I did too.
It's a shame. That disease had started kicking in even when he was with the Bucks, when he got shipped off, I think, to the Chargers. And he wasn't the same. It's just unfortunate that it really cut his career really, really short. He would have been on this list had he stayed healthy. Unfortunately, he lost his life very young. Sad. Yeah. All right. Who else do you have?
Mike Allstott.
Yeah.
The human battering ram.
Oh,
this man was what, 6'1", 240 pounds.
Tank.
You know, career-wise, Mike Allstott only ran for 5,088 yards. But look at the volume of punishment he dished out when he ran the football. You know, as big as he was used primarily in Tampa as a runner more so than a blocker down there. Mm-hmm. He was the short yardage specialist. And very few times did anybody stop him at the line of scrimmage. And for a man as big as he was, Mike Allstott was a little nimble in the footwork also.
Yeah, he was.
Make a guy miss as well. You know, he had 58 career touchdowns. He had 13 receiving touchdowns.
Wow.
But this dude was a human battering ram, and when he stepped into the line of scrimmage, man, it was painful for defenders. The defenders would talk about how you had to make the business decision, not just tackling Mike Allstott, but what angle are you going to try to hit him with? Because if you try to just take him down from the shoulder pads, you were going to be on his highlight reel.
I agree. A lot of business decisions with that guy. If you're in the open field, again, that's a cut the legs out if I can possibly. I'll go Jimmy Giles, the tight end. I think he deserves some love here. Over 4,300 yards as a tight end. Actually, it came to the Eagles. He's part of one of the most famous Eagles plays ever when Randall gets his legs chopped out from under him by Carl Banks.
Yeah.
Stays on his feet, delivers a touchdown in the back of the end zone. That's Jimmy Giles, who ended up coming over here. But when his early years with Tampa, he was a stud tight end. Really good.
You want to talk about early years with Tampa? I have to include Gerald McCoy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, what a career he had.
He had 59 and a half career sacks. Now, for a defensive tackle to get 54 career sacks were in Tampa of his 59 and a half. But 59 and a half career sacks for a D tackle, that's phenomenal. Now, obviously, everybody's measured by Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's numbers are just a freak of nature. We may never see those type of numbers again from the D tackle position. But Gerald McCoy was an outstanding D tackle at 6'4", 300 pounds, lightning quick off the snap, lateral pursuit, disruptive. I used to love just watching him play because you sit there going, how in the world did he do that?
Yeah. Yeah. He could do it all.
Jackman brings up, JM brings up Alvin Harper. Alvin Harper was a great receiver.
Alvin Harper. Yeah. I mean, more Dallas years, right? I mean,
he had a few good years though down in Tampa.
Did he? Okay.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't consider him one of the greatest Tampa Bay Bucks of all time. Dude, when we looked at this list, there's at least 15, 20 guys who can make this list easily.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Harper. Look at his Tampa years; they're pretty solid. 600
Nothing
yards
great.
receiving, 289.
Right.
They're okay. Yeah,
He got more accolades than Dallas did he did in Tampa.
for sure. The other one I throw Hardy Nickerson in there because Hardy Nickerson was like, again, he was sort of overshadowed a little bit by some of the guys that he played with because that team was so loaded. But you look back at what he was able to do and the impact that he had. He was a big piece of that defense for sure.
There's no question about it. One of the better linebackers that ever played a game. I believe he did, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he do a stint also in Pittsburgh? If I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got anybody else?
That's it. That's all I got.
The other one I would think we could throw in there, is Simeon Rice. And I remember how good he was against the Eagles and went to the same high school as Donovan. He's another one of those guys who's kind of spread out. Arizona early, right? And then later, I think he ended up in Denver or somewhere. But he had some really quality years, including being on the that Super Bowl team. I look at his 02 season. Pretty impressive stuff out of him. So 02, Derek, he ends up getting 15.5 sacks. He also had they would drop him into coverage sometimes. 11 passes defensed. The following year, 6 forced fumbles. I mean, he was a double-digit sack guy about 8 times in his career, which is pretty impressive. And his best years were in Tampa, although he had good years in Arizona.
He was in Tampa for 6 years. 5 of his years were double-digit sacks.
Right. Yeah.
And look at his career. He had 122 career sacks.
I know. Yep. Heck of a player.
Long-rangey guy. Great coming off the edge. Great at deflecting passes. You're right. Simeon Rice was definitely his better years. His best years were in Tampa. He drafted by Arizona. He had some great years in Arizona. He had 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 3 years of double-digit sacks in Arizona. But once he got to Tampa, in that Tampa defense is when he really took off and made a name for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's hit it. Let's come back. We'll continue with the NFL talk. Among the things that we will discuss, a new rule change, which I like a lot. What's going on with J.K. Dobbins? Von Miller talks about his injury status. So we got a lot to do when we come back. Do not go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is a licensed and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They're experts trimming all types of trees in southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. You can go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
For the big story on Action News,
search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust, and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up,
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. EAGLES. Eagles.
We're back. Hour number 3. Thanks for hanging out with us. We do appreciate it as I get my wires uncrossed here. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis on this Thursday, Friday Eve, as we call it. All right, let's hit a couple things here, Derek, NFL-wise. Tell me if they're hedging a little bit here. So Ron Rivera and Washington has, continually talked about what a good job Sam Howell's doing so far. But when asked by asked about Powell, Rivera said that Howell's done a really good job at camp, but still needs to show what he can do in a preseason game, and then brought up Jacoby Brissett as an option without being asked. He said, I think to me, it's right now, this is all the growth and development opportunity. This is a chance to learn based on fundamentals of our offense, and he's been doing great since the OTAs and minicamp. Now we're in training camp. We're in our 8th day now. So all these things are coming together. What you really look for is when you get on the field, when we have a game plan, when we prepare. I know it's preseason games, but those are going to be a paramount to telling how everybody is in terms of growth. And at the same time, like I've said a couple of times, don't sleep on Jacoby. He's done a nice job as well. I mean, we got some really good quarterback play going on right now. All right, I'm not going to read you the whole quote. Hedging the bets a little bit here, D-Gun, in your sense?
I told you from the outset, I thought Jacoby Brissett, just based on his NFL experience, is going to be the starting quarterback for that team.
Yeah.
I don't care what they tell you about Sam Howell. If he was that good, would he have been a 5th-round draft pick, first of all? Second of all, very limited NFL experience. You have a head coach who's in a do-or-die situation in terms of tenure. What's the mindset? I need the best players I can possibly have at my disposal on the field every week. It gives us the best possible chance to win, especially when you look at the schedule that we have, okay? Mm-hmm. I think that's Brissett, plain and simple.
Okay. I think they would prefer it be Hal, but I think the reality might be setting in a little bit. This is actually an interesting case where I think we're going to see a quote unquote, number 1 quarterback play in preseason games.
Yeah.
I think Hal's going to get time.
Oh, there's no question. He has to get the time.
Yeah.
If you're getting so-called good quarterback play in general, you want to make sure you have enough film where you sit down at the end of training camp, when you start formulating a game plan for that first game, mm-hmm. Who gives us the best chance of being successful?
Yeah.
You're going to need all the game film you can get. Now, Howell may start out playing a couple of reps the first game, then a quarter, then a half, maybe 3 quarters after that.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting him at risk against players that are trying to make a name for themselves, and even veteran players that are trying to make teams. But you've got to get him the reps.
Yeah.
You've got to. I got one for you. Now, I love this one.
Yeah.
All right. This just came out from a few minutes ago. Instead, it says breaking news. Instead of paying his star running back, Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay is spending $20 million. You ready for this? To transport a large killer whale across the U.S. from a small enclosure in Miami, where she has lived for 53 years, to the Pacific Ocean. This is per the New York Post. You're paying $20 million to transport a whale across country.
He's just doing that out of the goodness of his heart? Like, what is he getting for this?
That's all I see in the story. I don't know.
Interesting. All right. Well, would anything surprise me with Irsay? No. If he's doing that, it's a very nice gesture. But if I'm Jonathan Taylor, I'm like, really? Okay. That's, I understand it's not, out of the salary cap or anything like that, but okay. I don't know what his connection is. Is he an environmentalist? Is he a guy who's always looking out for animal rights and mammals and fish and all that stuff? I don't know.
Tone says, that sounds like something you cook up when you're high as a kite.
All right. Tyler says it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder how that's going to sit with Jonathan Taylor when you've told the best player on your offense, we ain't paying you a nickel more than what you're making.
He's a strange cat, that guy, man.
Dude, $20 million to transport a whale?
I mean, God bless you. If you have it, I guess. I don't know. Oof. All right.
Come on, man.
I don't know. I don't get it. This is pretty good. Free Willy 4, Irsay's Revenge. Yes. I like that. All right. This is the whole thing, Derek, has puzzled me from the jump. So Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
He showed up at the OTAs, but he didn't go out and practice. Sean McDermott at one point says he's very concerned. Then Josh Allen, I have to do a better job communicating with him. And then Diggs basically telling everybody, nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Keep moving. Like very, very weird in general, right? I mean, altogether. So Brandon Beane, who's their general manager, said that there were 0 trade talks regarding Diggs this offseason. Said nobody called on Diggs. Diggs never in any way, shape, or form tried to initiate trade talks. It's never been an issue. Everything's good. This thing's been, I'm paraphrasing, but this thing's been basically blown out of proportion. What do you think this was or is? Or is it just touches? Like, what do you think it is?
I don't know. I have to lean towards what Josh Allen came out and said. I have to do a better job of embracing him. He felt that he wasn't included enough in terms of offensive decisions and what they should run, what they shouldn't run. We have to do a better job of including him. I have no idea what this all means. Dude, this is like a bad soap opera, to be honest with you.
Strange,
But for me, is he on the field now? Yes. Is he playing football now? Yes. Whatever else there is, from a perspective of the Buffalo Bills team and a fan base, I don't care what this other craziness is. I just want to make sure he's on the football field when we need him the most. You got to have him on the field. I mean, he is one of the best in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, a lot of football players are a little eccentric in their own ways. I don't know. I don't know if it's on him. I don't know if it's something the organization had done to irk him. They give you little bits and pieces of this, that, and the other, and they don't tell you a whole lot, obviously, and they're not going to tell you a whole lot. But the bottom line is he hasn't demanded a trade. He's been there. He wasn't there at the OTAs. He's there now. Mm-hmm. That's all I care about. Business starts now.
All right, tell me what you think of this. There's a 2023 version of the NFL personal conduct policy.
Okay.
That includes language that opens the door to the possibility of imposing discipline on a player for conduct that happened before they got to the NFL. So in other words, if something went down in college and you end up either getting drafted or signing as a, undrafted free agent or whatever, you could get suspended. You think?
I don't like that. Hold up. I don't like that. Because you're not officially a part of the NFL workforce at that stage of your life. And if they got through it, in college and the college didn't slap them on the wrist, I don't think the NFL should hold that against them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as thorough as the NFL is across the board, from the league office to individual teams of doing background checks on players, it's on you. It's your fault that you missed this. You know, but if you've been cleared of wrongdoings and so on and so forth, you can't hold that against them.
It's a slippery slope. You know, we got to go back to high school. Like how far back do we go here with this? Yeah.
We just had, what team was it? Wasn't it the Eagles? They had an offensive lineman.
Yes.
They had the rape allegations.
Correct.
Yep. Now, my first question is, and I've said this time and time again, the Eagles are the best of the best in terms of investigating.
Yeah.
Dom DeSandro is the best of the best in the NFL when it comes to investigating background checks on players.
Yeah.
How did you miss that? And if you decide to draft a player or bring him in as a free agent or an undrafted free agent on a pending case, that's on you for bringing him in.
Right.
But what happened in college should not be held against you at the NFL level.
Well, I was just going to bring this up, and I see Tone brought it up. Like, should you be worried about Jalen Carter? You know what I mean? Like, for his involvement in that, like, if you're the Eagles, should there be any concern there?
Yeah, there should be concern because it's still an open book case. But he shouldn't be penalized by the team or the league for something that happened in college. If it's still an open, that's a legal case.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of reach going on here now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, what does it say? Let him without sin cast the first stone. Everybody, now, obviously, some are more transparent than others, and some are more jaw-dropping than others. But if this is something that happened in college, and if you know for a fact it's still a pending case when you draft that person,
you might steer clear. Yeah,
exactly. You steer clear of them. I don't care how talented they are. You stay clear of them.
Well, a great example is Tyreek Hill. I mean, go back and look at his history.
Dude,
when he was in college. It's bad.
You kidding me?
It is bad stuff. Okay. If that's the case, I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs, knowing that something could come down, it's tough. I think it's tough. All right, this actually I do like. This is different from the personal conduct policy, but this is a rule that'll be in place this year, which I think is good. So, the turnover on downs. Let's say it's 4th and 1, and you're going for it from the 45, and it's really close, and you just come up short. Okay, and you turn it over. It'll be reviewable now. You can look at that, and like, to me, that's good. If you're going to review touchdowns that are close and that kind of stuff, turnover on downs is a pretty big deal.
Absolutely.
So I'm good there. I don't mind if it takes a minute or two. Good, just get it right.
How many times have we seen where and a lot of times we go by the announcer's call. He's stuffed at the line of scrimmage, but all of a sudden, a second later, you see a surge.
Yeah.
And when did the referee decide to blow the whistle and call the play stop?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of times we thought, was he stopped? Well, wait a minute.
Where's the forward progress? The nose of the ball. Yeah, exactly.
And did you notice he extended the arm?
Yeah.
The rule is if you extend the arm, that counts. I mean, look at how many times a football player's body doesn't cross the goal line, jumps over the top. All he has to do is put the ball out for a second. It's a touchdown.
That's it.
So, yes, I love that rule. Get it right.
Yeah.
Whatever you do to get it right, get it right.
I'm a big fan of getting it right also. All right, this one, how about this? So you talk about buzz for the Lions. For the first time in their franchise history, they have a waiting list for season tickets.
Good for them. That organization has been so downtrodden for so long. There's a lot of excitement and buzz about this team, and the fan base is picking up on it. All off season, what are people talking? What are one of the topics people talked about? This Lions team could be a sleeper in the NFC this year.
Yeah.
And let's face it, they've got to prove it, but the Lions have talent, and rightfully so. And did you hear the other story pertaining to the Lions that Dan Campbell wanted to have an actual live lion on the sideline?
Why am I not surprised by that? Like,
and the league wouldn't approve it? Really?
I mean,
I don't care. Let me tell you
what bad thing? What could go wrong there with a live lion on the sideline?
Yeah. How many years did the University of Texas have that bighorn steer? What's Debo?
Debo
on the sideline,
and the Georgia has the bulldog. And yeah.
Didn't the bulldog bite somebody once to try to attack another dog?
Yes.
Didn't Debo accidentally run over somebody?
And Debo might have had an accident, I think, on the field at one point. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You're gonna try to tell me that he wants a trained lion? I don't care if this lion was raised as a house kitten. What's a lion? It has wild, natural instincts. Can you imagine a lion being skittish when planes fly overhead, when cannons go off, at the roar of a crowd? And what's the first instinct of an animal? Think about your own pet dogs. When it's thundering and lightning, what do? They curl up and they shake like a leaf.
Yes.
What are you going to do with a trained lion on the sideline when he lashes out? First of all, it's inhumane if you declaw him, first of all. Second of all, can you imagine him grabbing somebody on the sideline with those teeth? Can you seriously?
Yeah. So some errant throw goes near his cage and the door opens and suddenly a receiver's running away from a lion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, University of Colorado has a buffalo running out of the field. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's he thinking?
I don't know. It sounds very on brand for him though. All right. This is a good story here. John Mechie, you remember John Mechie, the Texans receiver who battled cancer all of last year, kid out of Alabama.
Yep.
Back on the field, back at camp, feeling great. I said this year's been eventful for sure. It's had ups and downs, but being back on the field feels great. It's been a long way coming, but it's definitely feels like a blessing. So if he's 100% healthy, he feels like he'd be better than ever. He said, I feel 110% actually. I feel better now than I did in college. I feel better than I was before I was diagnosed. Good for him, man. Go do your thing.
You know what? A triumph. I love triumph stories like that. Man, how much can one person endure in his lifetime? And he still continues on with his career.
Yeah.
You know, I hope this is a story where he's in remission and it never returns, lives a long, happy life, well into his 80s or 90s. You know, if he wants to, you know, God bless him for still being out there. That's scary, man. Just mentioning the word cancer is scary enough. You know, how many of us have been affected by someone we love close to us or someone we know that we've had to watch battle cancer and the end result has not been favorable. So, you know, God bless them for being able to do that.
Amen. Amen.
You know, I want to bring this up for a moment. You know,
please.
We were talking about animals on the sidelines of sporting events. You know, Big Sills chimes in on Colorado and the buffalo. He says, Dion better watch his toes.
Oh, that's
come
cold.
on, Big Sills.
He's only got a few left, man. Come on.
Come on, Big Sills. What's wrong
tough.
with you?
That's rough. That's a rough crowd. Yeah.
But I mean, seriously.
Steel tips for Dion.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Look, I've had my foot stepped on by a cow or by a horse. Let me tell you something. That's painful. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine if a 1,500-pound buffalo stepped on? See, I shouldn't even go there. But this is Big Still's fault right now. See, I blame him. You know?
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Ike, Prime ain't as fast as he used to be. Y'all wrong for this. See, this is all y'all going to hell for this. I'm telling you right now. All y'all going to hell for this. Y'all ain't right, man. Something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. Man.
That would just be an appetizer for the. Anyway, all right. Well, let's keep moving. Keep moving. All right. So this one's weird in Baltimore. They're not really sure, or at least the media and the public aren't sure, if J.K. Dobbins is still recovering from his injury or it's a quote unquote hold in. In other words, he's there, he's not getting fined, but he's not taking the field because he's unhappy with his contract. Melvin Gordon, who they just signed, basically implied that that's what's going on. But Harbaugh has been real weird with it. So makes you think something's up.
Very testy.
Yeah.
How has the organization that has highly trained doctors and team physicians not been able to determine what it is by now? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. But here's the problem you run into. Like if Dobbins is saying, yeah, I'm not all the way back yet, you can't force him onto the field, right? If he's faking this. It's a tough deal. It's a really tough deal for them.
I agree. Dude, we've heard so many stories out there about players not wanting to go to camp, holding out. So look at Josh Jacobs,
Yeah.
And now in this case, and John Harbaugh is an old school, no nonsense coach, man.
Yeah.
And if if the media can identify he's a little testy at the mic.
Oh, they're gonna.
Can you imagine how it must be eating him up?
Yeah. Keep digging at it. Yeah.
Look, maybe Harbaugh's already been told by team trainers and doctors, man, he ain't hurt. There's nothing wrong with him.
But he can't go public with that. Yeah.
He can't go public with that.
Nope.
And if a player says he's hurt, but you're saying he's not, you can't force a player out there.
Yeah, I know. You can't. Well, look, all right, stay on that for a minute. And this is a totally different circumstance, but I applaud this guy for saying this. Von Miller said, look, I'm not going to put myself out there till I'm right. He's coming off an ACL. And he said, I wouldn't be doing myself or the team, the service by going out there being 50%, 60%, 70%. I want to make sure that I'm not going to re-injure, that I'm going to be me when I'm out there. And guess what? Good. He's being honest.
Who is going to question Von Miller based on his status and pedigree in the National Football League? The Buffalo Bills understand look at how different that defense was when he was absent from that defense. They didn't have the same pass rush.
Right.
Once he missed last season. If Von Miller says, I'm not going out there right now in August, I have no problem with that. Will you be ready in September, Von? That's all we need to know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not worried about now. Yeah.
I don't care if you want to sit under an umbrella with a Mai Tai in your hand during practice. Will you be ready when we hit the ground running in September? That's all I care about for Von Miller.
I hear you. Falcons owner Arthur Blank gave his backing to Desmond Ridder. And Ritter said it was comforting that he believes in him and that he is the unquestioned number one guy. He took over last year from Mariota. They love his leadership. He was a hell of a player at Cincinnati. So we'll see. We'll see if he's going to be able to make the adjustment to being that guy, because Atlanta spent some money in the offseason. They definitely put a strong effort together. And I think Arthur Smith did a pretty solid job there last year with them.
They loaded up on defense. They picked the number one running back in the NFL. They've got some decent offensive weapons.
Yeah.
What is the owner going to say at this point? Who's your option at quarterback beyond Ridder? Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? This kid ain't ready. Really? You're going to kill his confidence like that? What are you going to say about the kid now? All right. You got to go out and do it. You don't have any options right now if you're Atlanta. And what's out there left in the open market is ready for the nursing home, man. There's nobody out there on the open market I really want.
Oh, my God. I love it. All right. Hey, the Phillies win. Phillies win. They win. Yeah, 4-2 final. Real Muto set the tone with a 2-run shot to right early. But the star of the game is Michael Lorenzen, Derek, who they acquired from the Tigers. He ends up going 8 innings, gives up 6 hits, 2 runs, 101 pitches. That's a pretty darn good debut. 8 innings, 2 runs for him. Sir Anthony got the save in the ninth. So the Phillies take 3 out of 4. That's ugly huge as last night was. Huge. That's a darn good job.
You take 3 out of 4 from Miami. You took care of Baltimore. You can play against the big boys. And that's why I said they play down to the level of competition against the lesser teams that look like a AAA team, but for somehow, some way, they find a way to get it done. And, the second star of the game has to go to Brandon Marsh. Bases loaded, single, drove in 2 runs. That was
really
huge.
Big. Yeah, really big. He's had a couple clutch hits last night. It got lost in all the stuff that went down last night. He had that home run last night. So,
again, Schwarber, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. Bohm, after that big night last night, 0 for 4. Harper had 2 hits. Castellano had 1, scored 2 runs, and it got 1 walk. But again, it's the understudies carrying this team.
It is. And Turner 0 for 3.
Yeah. Turner. No.
Turner 0 for 3. He's now down to 235 and 290 on the season. It's bad. It is really bad.
Let me go back to what I said earlier in the show. I'm sitting him for a series. I'm bringing in a shrink. I'm bringing in a baseball shrink. I don't care if he has to have a seance. I don't care. I don't care if he needs a soothsayer. I'm bringing in somebody. I'm going to be like, what's his name in Major Leagues?
Oh God, the outfielder. Serrano.
I'm putting chickens in his locker. I'm lighting the incense.
Oh my God. But hey, look, props to Dave Dombrowski. I mean, he makes the move for Lorenzen. Lorenzen steps right in and deals today, on the road. He does a great job. Maybe Sir Anthony's getting some confidence back. That's two, closes that we've seen from him. And, Harper, 2 more hits. He's not hitting home runs, but he's hitting and he's coming through for this team. He's up to 294 with his average. Real Muto was good to get him back. He had the hand swelling and the big chunk that was taken out of it. He had the 2-run shot today. And Marsh had a real nice year for them, like in general.
Yes, he is.
Good player. Yeah.
Marsh is hitting 279. That's not bad.
Solid.
And your boy Schwarber's down to 180.
Oh my God. It's bad. 180 for a guy who plays every day. Like, you usually see 180 for a guy who has only a limited number of at-bats, right?
Tone said, he said, I like that D gun. If I'm Rob Thompson, I'm letting him take a series off. I don't even want him on the team playing. I'm not going that far. I can't take it that far. That's rough. What's wrong with letting him take a series off?
I don't. Then that's a lot. Like, if you're giving a guy just a night, you're like, okay, just get away from it for a night, man. 3?
Wow, it's only 3 games, man. And it's against who's up next? Kansas City?
Yes. Kansas City.
You don't need. Okay, what are you doing to his confidence? Let's say he goes 0 for 12 in the Kansas City series, the worst team in baseball.
Oh my God. Yeah. So Kansas City is 34 and 75.
The worst team in baseball. No.
Second. Oakland. Yeah. Okay. Oakland's 30 and 79.
Okay. What are you hurting by letting him sit out the Kansas City series? Yeah. Now, one hand you might say Kansas City's so bad, he might get back in a groove. But there's also that 50-50 chance he's going to go 0 for 12 and have a couple more errors in this series.
Well, you want to hear what's crazy?
What?
Kansas City's won 5 in a row to get to 34 and 75. I mean, before this streak, they had 29 wins. They were the worst team in baseball before this run.
Dude, sit Turner, please. I don't want to be sitting here talking about Monday. He had 2 or 3 more errors against a team like the Royals and went 0 for the entire series.
Oh my God.
So,
well, look,
come on, man.
I do give them props though. They have generally done a good job bouncing back after a really garbage game. They have.
Jim G says KC players are licking their chops hit against NOLA.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I listen. I get it. I get it. All right. Let's come back. We got some. I'm going to give you Taylor Swift, Tom Brady, and Florida State news when we come back. Okay, we'll hit them all. We'll run the gamut, Derek. Not to mention birthdays and movies. We will hit all of it. We'll continue with the Phillies winning as well. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Up with this anymore.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com. EAGLES, Eagles.
All right, we're back. Derek, Rob, hanging out with you on this Thursday. All right, it's a couple things here, Derek. So if you're just tuning in, Phillies win. They beat the Marlins. They take 3 out of 4 in South Florida. Highlights, Harper 2 for 4. JT Realmuto comes back. He's 2 for 4, 2-run home run. He also struck out Brandon Marsh, 1 for 3 on the day, but really it wasn't so much the bats. It was the arm of Michael Lorenzen, who came over from the Tigers. He had a 1.14 ERA in July and continues rolling. Two runs earned here in 8 innings work for Michael Lorenzen, 101 pitches. Also saved the bullpen that got shredded last night. So Lorenzen goes 8, and then Sir Anthony Dominguez closes it out in the 9th inning. Okay, a couple other odds and ends here. This was pretty cool, Derek. Taylor Swift is giving away $55 million to her tour staff for the Eras Tour. That includes the truckers. That includes, the lighting folks, the sound people, the people who get her dressing room prepared. In other words, the quote unquote little people, the people who do all the dirty work, who get none of the fame or the praise or the, high paychecks. And I know the cynical response from people is, look at how much money she makes, but she doesn't have to give 55 million of her money away to these people. So I give her a lot of props. You know what?
Not 55,000, not 550,000, $55 million. And you would figure there's probably at least when you put all the people involved, you're talking about maybe 75, 80 people. Now you divide 55 million by 75, 80 people. You can retire on that kind of money.
Yeah. I don't know how many people, but I don't care what it is. That's an incredible gesture by anybody. 55 million giving away. You know what? And see, that makes people want to work for you that much harder. Not many entertainers. I don't know of any entertainer that would do that. I haven't heard of anything like that before. Right. Yep.
Can you imagine how many people would want to work for her now? She's able to get the best of the best for her road tours whenever she wants. When that stuff gets out, whether you like her music or not, that is a generous gesture on her part. Yep. God bless her for that. Very cool. Very cool. Like giving out the nice stories, because we have to unfortunately deal with a lot of bad ones. All right. Beyond that, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is buying a minority stake in Birmingham City FC. So he's investing his coins overseas into European soccer with Birmingham City. Man, Brady's keeping busy, isn't he? Well, I'm going to think we're going to see more and more of this, right? I mean, whether it's Brady, LeBron, the guys who will finish their career making just insane money. Yes. This is a good way to invest it. It's a good investment.
You know, Magic Johnson did great in business, and he's part owner of the Commanders now.
Aaron Rodgers owns a piece of the Bucks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You're enhancing your business ventures for life after football. Why not?
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, I think it's smart. It's smart, you know, and you have it. Why not? What the heck?
If you can invest, and let's face it, pro soccer franchises over in Europe made huge money.
Oh, God, they do. Yes.
Make huge money over there. When you look at some of the salaries, some of the players are being paid over in Europe to play soccer.
Yeah.
Because we're not used to that. We don't know. But when you hear some of the national stories, the dude paid $100 million, you're thinking, soccer makes that kind of money in Europe? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's their prime sport, you know, in a lot of these countries. It is their number one. It's their football is our football.
Football.
Right.
Football.
That's exactly what it is. This, unfortunately, Derek, we are rolling closer and closer to just maybe 2 or 3 monster conferences when it comes to college sports.
This is ridiculous.
So Florida State's the latest. They're not happy what's going on with the ACC, revenue sharing, TV deal, you know, et cetera. And they're now talking about getting out and going, you know, I would assume probably joining the ACC or somebody else, but
I mean, the SEC.
SEC, sorry, SEC or somebody else. But, you know, we've seen it already. We've seen teams, you know, from the Pac-12 go over to the Big Ten, UCLA and USC. They have one more year in that conference. But this is where it's headed. You're going to just have the power conferences, if you will, and everybody else is going to be like, you know, looking for crumbs the rest of the way.
History as we knew it doesn't exist anymore, Rob, in terms of rivalries. Because if you have an 18 or 20 team let's say Big Ten, you know, you're going to have to spread it out to the point where every other year you want to play everybody. So it kind of dilutes those built-in rivalries with certain teams that you've had through the years. Sure. I understand it's all about the money, and I understand when it comes to who's making the most money, especially when it comes to college football, it's the SEC and the Big Ten. And Florida, I believe, is like I think they projected their number was 30 to 50 million lesser than what teams in the SEC and the Big Ten are getting because of the TV contracts.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Think about what that money can do for your operation, your facility, not just your primary sports, but help sustain your second tier sports as well.
Yeah.
I don't blame them from a business standpoint, but man, I tell you what, I never thought I'd live to see this day when tradition as we grew up and knew it may be a part of the past instead of the present.
Yeah, I mean, look, kids want to go where they're going to get the exposure and be on TV all the time with you know, the most games that you're going to be able to see,
right?
And they want to go to wherever is churning out the most pros, you know, and that's the danger is like you better really, really be great if you're going to Alabama or one of these schools because there's going to be 4 or 5 that were just like you, so you better be able to stand out. If you are, great, good for you. If not, what ends up happening is you sit the bench, you end up transferring, and it becomes a whole thing, you know, with these guys.
And a school like Florida State would be welcomed with open arms in the SEC and the Big Ten. Why? Because even though they're not as dominant as they used to be, they resurged last year. Yeah. But they sell out every game. People in Tallahassee love their Seminoles. Florida State is a money-making machine, which will enhance the money you make in the Big Ten or the SEC. You know, if you're talking about another team, maybe like North Carolina, you know, a team like that, they're a good team, good, solid fan base, loyal fan base. But Florida State's fan base is on another level. It's the equivalent of the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Michigans.
Yep.
Plain and simple. It's all about the Benjamins now.
It is. That's for sure. And the other thing is, like, you can just throw the geographical thing out the window.
Oh,
like,
geez.
There's no rhyme or reason to anything. Like,
you got 4 Pac-12 teams that are going to be in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, really?
I know.
We always knew the Big Ten as a Midwest conference.
Yeah, cold, and they had a certain style. They would, you know, pound the ball down your throat with a running game.
Oregon and UCLA coming in. I mean, seriously?
I know. Well, I'll give you an example. Like the Temple plays in the AAC, the American Athletic Conference. Like there's a Tulsa. Like there's just no rhyme or reason to it. It's just none.
What happens to the conferences like the Big 12s with the Oklahomas, the Texas, you know, the TCUs?
Pac-12's in trouble.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the Pac-12's in big trouble.
The Pac-12 may be no more unless you start bringing in like San Diego, AT&T, and
San Diego State didn't even want to move to the Pac-12. That's how bad it is.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's very strange comings and goings in as far as college sports go. We still haven't heard anything on Alvin Kamara's meeting with the commissioner yesterday. So we'll see if we get any kind of update. Joe Mixon mentioned that the pay cut that he took, he felt was the sacrifice needed to help the Bengals win a Super Bowl. AKA, I probably wasn't getting this much anywhere else. But according to Roster Management System, his new value of his deal is $5.8 million, which is nearly $3 million less from his cash from last year. So he took a $3 million pay cut. But here's the thing: he wasn't getting 5.8 on the market in this market. No chance.
No, not today's climate. No. You know, Joe said, "Hey, wait a minute. I get a chance to go to Super Bowl." I'm sure he's got some incentives in the contract as well.
Sure.
You know, and he's with a team that can help him get a lot of incentives.
Yeah.
You know, smart move in this part. It hurts right now because of the way the running back is viewed in the NFL. It does hurt, but in the bigger scheme of things, I want to play football. I'm paid decent, not great money compared to other positions. And if I have enough incentives, maybe I can make up some of that stuff. It's motivation for him.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, the update. You know, during the show, I saw coming down the pike that Nakobe Dean got hurt in practice today. So I reached out to some of my people on the inside, and here's what I was told just a moment ago. He's fine. Small ankle thing. We took him out to be safe.
Okay.
So,
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good to know. Yeah, so today was day 5, okay, of practice. And, you know, look, the pads today, I believe pads tomorrow.
Yeah.
Also. And, a couple things that I'll give you a couple observations from our buddy Dave Zingaro. First of all, Deion Kane didn't practice either with an ankle issue. Hassan Reddick still limited with the groin, Avonte Maddox with the toe, and Derek Barnett with the ankle. Nakobe Dean, he left individual drills and took a long trip into the trainer's tent. He returned to the sideline, did not participate, so that backs it up. Same thing with James Bradbury. Took a trip into the trainer's tent to end practice before he hung around afterwards, spending time with his children. He was seemed to be in a good mood. Cam Jurgens was again on the first team. Best sign for Jurgens being the starter appeared while he was watching second team O-line. Tyler Steen got work with the second team. Yep. Dennis Kelly was at left guard with the second team as well. Dennis Kelly's getting reps at the twos.
Good.
He's going to be an Eagle.
He's a proven veteran. Yeah. You know, he's an insurance policy.
Yeah.
You know, you've been around the block as long as he is. Plus, he's a huge specimen.
Oof.
You know, there was no doubt in my mind that he's going to be there. And I was told initially when they brought him in, we're bringing him in to see if he has anything left. If he's getting reps with the twos already, Jeff Stalin says, we're keeping him. We got to keep him.
With Nakobe Dean out, Christian Ellis moved in and took reps with Nicholas Morrow in the linebacking spot. So Reed Blankenship, Edmonds began the day as the first team safeties, which has become the norm. Nick Sirianni said before practice that Kayvon Wallace is one of the guys fighting for the open safety spot. The others, presumably Edmonds, rookie Sidney Brown, and Reed Blankenship.
Okay.
So there's that.
Right.
I told you about the kick. The kick returners were Boston Scott, Rashad Penny, and Kenny Gainwell. A.J. Brown did a little bit of work with kickoffs as well.
The only way Rashad Penny practices kickoffs is if everybody else is already told to go in.
Yeah.
All right, everybody else in. That includes the water boys, the trainers. I want everybody off the field. I want anybody on the field.
Yeah, I'm interested. They used Nolan Smith a little bit at off linebacker, playing off the ball a little bit.
Okay.
So for whatever it's worth, I think that's something they're gonna play around with to get a best feel for him. But ultimately, he'll see the bulk of the reps on the edge. I would think.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some birthdays. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Tom Brady, he celebrates number 46 today. He is 46 years old as Tom Brady. Evangeline Lilly, who was in the series Lost, is 44 today.
48.
Oh, 48. Sorry.
Yep.
James Hetfield of Metallica, lead singer, is 60. Tony Bennett, who unfortunately we just lost, sadly. He was born on this day in 1926. Martha Stewart. I'll tell you, Martha Stewart looks good for 82.
Would you consider her strong?
I'm not going that far. All I said was good for 82, man. No, thank you. Let's keep moving. Actor Martin Sheen is 83 today. Todd Gurley's only 29, and he's like long out of the league. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Actor or model Carly Kloss is 31 today. Michael Ealy is 50 today.
Really good actor.
He's excellent in everything he's in. That's one of those guys, like, look him up. You see the face, you know exactly who it is if you're not familiar, but he's very good in everything he's in.
Mr. Tass says Gilf Hunter, Rob, when it comes to Martha Stewart. With Gilf Hunter. Don't even just keep going. Keep going.
Like you brought it up. Speaking of,
Zach Wilson's birthday was today.
Guess what? Zach Wilson's 24.
And he's probably starting tonight.
Zach Wilson is probably DMing Martha Stewart as we speak. All right, where are we? John C. McGinley, the actor, is 64 years old today. Isaiah Washington, who was in Grey's Anatomy, is 60 today. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback, is 34 today. Ryan Lochte, the former U.S. swimmer, is 39. John Landis, the director.
Did you know he was the most highly decorated swimmer?
I think, yeah, but not gold. But yes, he's got tons of medals. He's got tons of medals.
No, he's second. He's second most. The most is Michael Phelps. This dude has 6 gold, 3 silvers, and 3 bronze.
All right, pretty impressive.
I bet.
Pretty impressive. Where was I? John Landis, producer, director, 73 today. Jay North, who played Dennis the Menace, is 72.
That's unbelievable.
Oh, Kevin Sumlin, longtime college football coach, is 59 today. Marv Levy, Marvelous, is 98, right? He's still with us.
Yep, still with us.
Derwin James, 27 today. Nate McMillan, 59 today, NBA coach. That's all I have birthdays. What else do you have?
Woo, let's see here. We have Lisa Ann Walter from the movie Parent Trap is 60 today. You said Nate McMillan. Stephen Burkhoff, who was Victor Maitland.
Yes.
Beverly Hills Cop. Tell Victor Maitland you might want to go see his doctor.
Eddie Murphy.
He might have herpes simplex 10. He's 86 today. Joe Marie Payton, who played in the sitcom Perfect Strangers, which is a good comedy, 73 today. Kwan Alexander, linebacker for the Steelers, is 29 on this day. Let's see who else we got on the list. Lambert Wilson, who's played in the Matrix series, is one of the villains at 65. Antoine Fisher, not only a director, but inspired the movie Antoine Fisher, 64. Former tight end Todd Christensen was born on this day in 1956. The great Lance Allworth is 83 today.
Oh, man. Former
NHLer and Hall of Famer Marcel Dion is 72.
Yep.
Gordon Scott, who played in the Tarzan movie series back in the 1950s up until 1960, was born on this day in 1926. Dallas running back Ronald Jones is 26 today. Former Major Leaguer and World Series champ Troy Glaus is 47. Mike Jaminski is 64 today.
G-Man, yep.
And Cowboys defensive end Dante Fowler is 29.
Okay. Movies: Bourne Ultimatum, 2007. Princess Diaries, 2001. Rush Hour 2, also 2001. Bratz, the movie, 2007. I didn't see much else. You got anything else?
The Guy Who Dumped Me, kids movies, 2018, and Grandview, USA, 1984.
All right. That will do it. Want to thank Tone DeShields for producing the program. Thank you, Tone. Thanks to all of you in the chat.
Yeah,
great job.
And Ramon said he might want to go see his doctor. I'll let you tell him that.
Yeah, exactly. Eddie Murphy, man. That was prime. That was
herpes simplex 10.
Want to thank all of you streaming, all of you listening. We are back tomorrow at the same time. We'll close the week out strong, but don't go anywhere. You have the National Football Show with Dan Cilio coming your way. All right. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. Appreciate you hanging. Your sports take. See you same time.
Adam Exploit said Martha Stewart's cookware is strong, Gunner.
See you tomorrow.
Peace.